16 of the finest 3-year-olds in the country to do battle at the American Classic Racing distance of 1.25 miles in search of racing's most coveted prize, the Kentucky Derby. And welcome everyone to Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. What you're looking at are the odds, but from a value standpoint, those are not host positions. You have Revolutionary, the favorite, the lukewarm favorite at 5-1, all the way down to the bottom. Falling Sky, longest shot on the toe board at 36-1. Jerry, where is the value in this Derby field?
Well, I mean, if you consider 7-1 on what I think is the best horse in the race value, I'd go with Orb. But look, at Overanalyze is 14-1. I think he has an excellent chance if things go his way. It's my lucky day. I like him to be second. He's one of those sloppy tracks. To me, maybe at 9-1, that's the best one.
Everything is bunching up. You have the favorites that are overlaid. You have the longest shots in the field. Those prices are coming down a little bit. Does that have anything to do with this wet track and maybe serving as a grand equalizer, kind of evening things out for these horses?
Oh, sure. It's like the stock market with uncertainty. I mean, nobody really knows. And I think anytime there's so much luck involved in a race like this, when you add an element of the rain, it even expands that amount of luck. There's so many things that can go wrong anyway, and you add the rain in, and there's even more things that can go wrong. So it's hard to put your finger on it.
Biggest impact on the Kentucky Derby, this wet, sloppy track. How has the complexion of the race been altered?
Well, I still think the speed will show up where it's supposed to show up. I think Golden Sense and Falling Sky will be right up there. I think Verrazano, it's my lucky day. Even Oxbow on the inside, maybe not so much him. But I think the first flight, second flight will still be the same.
For more on the track condition, we welcome in Jay Pridman.
And Lafitte, you were referring to the track being as sloppy, and what that means is that the dirt that was underneath, that was dry when we got up this morning, was compressed earlier by Churchill Downs track management before all this rain that we've gotten over the last few hours rolled in here. So there's hard dirt underneath there with a layer of water sitting on top of it. I've talked to several jockeys as the day's gone on here. They said it's got a pretty firm bottom to it, does the surface. But let's remember, there's still one more dirt race to be run coming up right now, and then we've still got about 2.5 hours for more water to soak into this surface. So it's really going to be anybody's guess which horses are going to be able to handle this surface when we finally run the Kentucky Derby later today. Lafitte?
Yeah, Jerry, any advantage for these jockeys riding in these races and perhaps finding the lanes that are best suited for the horse's footing?
Well, it never hurts. But my feeling from watching these races today is it's a pretty even track. Now, the drains for this track, the water runs outside in. So the drains are inside the inside rail, the water runs in. When it rains harder, the water washes some of the dirt with it, and it becomes a little bit deeper on the inside because some of the dirt has gone on there. I've seen most of the horses today win in the 3, 4, and 5 path. I haven't seen a horse come up the inside and win.
Is there anywhere you think you would feel most comfortable when there's so much slop being kicked back in your face? If you're trying to establish position, where would you be best suited running that 1.25 miles in the Derby?
Well, I don't think you take your horse out of his game to be in a certain spot. I think if you want to minimize the kickback in the horse's face, then you have to cruise up in and almost go bumper to bumper. Your horse's front legs very close to the horse in front of you's back legs, so that the kickback hits them in the chest and not the face. It's less offensive to the horses. But in general, you take what the race gives you. In 19 horses, you can't always predict who's going to be where, and you just pretty much find the open spot.
Can you see out there?
It's very, very difficult. The harder it rains, actually, the more dirt washes off your goggles. But it's a challenge to begin with. And you add that to the fact that the goggles will fog up as you go around them, before you go in the gate especially. And then sometimes when you go around there. And then you have to pull a pair down so you can see with a fresh pair. You have to hold on to the reins and the whip. It's a lot to handle. You know,
like in baseball, there are so many statistics in horse racing. It is a numbers game. And what we're going to do now, and this is provided by Tomlinson in providing this information, horses that are best bred, their mothers and fathers, best designed to perform well on and off track. On the left, you have the 5 horses that have won on a wet track. Revolutionary, Giant Finish, It's My Lucky Day, Falling Sky, Vijack. On the right, horses that are bred to perform well on a wet surface. The one name you see on both lists, Revolutionary, probably not a coincidence that he is the 5-1 favorite.
Yeah, I think, and he's built like he's a slight built horse, almost like a filly. He's got smallish kind of feet, which will probably get in and out of this mud rather effectively.
How much of that 5-1 is the Calvin Burrell factor, the fact that he's already won 3 Kentucky Derbies, considered Mr. Churchill Downs, and by the way, now a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, congratulations, Calvin, by the way. Well, the majority of the people here at Churchill Downs come to a few races a year. And they don't go by handicapping numbers. You know, they go by name recognition, and they recognize Calvin Varela. He's been all over the trades the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, went to the White House. So I think a lot of it is sentimental. They recognize the name, and they're betting on Calvin.
If you remember the 2010 Kentucky Derby, horse name was Super Saver. He was owned by the Winstar Farm, trained by Todd Pletcher, ridden by Calvin Borel, the exact same team you'll see today with Revolutionary, the current favorite for the 139th Kentucky Derby. Meantime, the stakes racing continues on the undercard with the Grade 2 Churchill Downs Stakes. Delani down at the bottom, 2-1 the favorite with Rosie Napravnik. Field of 9. Again, these are some of the best sprinters in the nation running, chasing the winner's share of this $400,000 purse.
I think the biggest question mark to me in this race would be Trenneberg. You know, he was so dominant in the Breeders' Cup Classic Sprint Breeders' Cup Sprint last year. Went over to Dubai, pretty much laid an egg. Now he's coming back on rather quick rest. Generally, horses coming back from Dubai don't run until June. This is pretty quick for him, so it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds off that race.
Remember, Trenneberg had a huge impact on last year's Kentucky Derby. He ran and hounded front-runner Bodemeister the first half of the race. There are still a lot of people out there that feel had Trenneberg not run in the Kentucky Derby, we'd be discussing Bodemeister as the 2012 Derby winner.
You make a very good point. Fastest Derby in fractions in Derby history last year, and it was due in main part to Trenneberg's presence.
He is quick, and Trenneberg now a champion. They figured out what he wanted to do and what he does best. A champion sprinter, having won the Breeders' Cup Sprint last fall at Santa Anita in Southern California. Gearing up for this Grade 2 Churchill Downs Stakes. Horses beginning to file in. There is Pass the Dice. Julian Leperoux looking for his 4th win this afternoon, riding Java's War, the Bluegrass winner in the Kentucky Derby. Politically correct, Joel Rosario will ride Orb in Kentucky Derby 139. Trenneberg, the champion, steps forward. Far outside, Delani for trainer Tom Amos with Rosie Napravnik, last year the Kentucky Oaks winning jockey, in the saddle. All set. It is post time for the Grade 2 Churchill Downs Stakes, live from Churchill. Here's Mark Johnson.
All in. And they're off for the Churchill Downs. Towards the inside, it is Night Party who wins the break, but was immediately taken on by Trenneberg, who flashes his usual early speed. Trenneberg leads the way. Delaunay towards the outside, racing in second. Laurie's Rocket there between horses. Night Party on the inside. Handsome Mike is racing in fifth, and then Unbridled's Note on their outside in sixth. The first 6 are covered by only 2.5 lengths. A rate of 3 more lengths back to Hierro. Past the Dice, and last of all is Politically Correct. 22-1 for the opening quarter mile. They've got half a mile to go in the Churchill Downs Grade 2, and it is Trenneberg who leads the way. Deep out on the track, however, to Delaunay racing in second. There's a gap on the rail in third if he wants it for Laurie's Rocket. Around the outside, Unbridled's Note, then already being trimmed along Handsome Mike. So too is Hierro, then Night Party already backing out of it. Past the Dice and Politically Correct. They come to the head of the lane, and it's Delaunay who moves menacingly on the outside of Trenneberg, and Delaunay now goes for glory and goes for home. He's clear already by 3. Trenneberg labours in second. Laurie's Rocket past the Dice, passing only beaten rivals. It is Delaunay who is tearing this field apart. A 16th from the wire. He's going to be a perfect 4 out of 4 at Churchill Downs. 6 wins straight and a first graded success for Delaunay. Delaunay much the best in the Churchill Downs, and beat Past the Dice, who in turn was clear of the staying on Handsome Mike, and towards the near side, Laurie's Rocket.
A sprinting machine. 6 straight. Delaunay and Rosie Napravnik, who has a date with My Loot in the 139th Kentucky Derby.
You heard Mark Johnson reference that. 6 straight, now 10 out of 12. I mean, this horse is pure class. It's interesting where Rosie Napravnik chose to keep Delaunay. I mean, he wasn't on the lead early. He was chasing Trenneberg, who was a 2 or 3 off the rail. She elected to keep him in about the 4 path through the stretch, probably because she was there anyway. But it doesn't seem like anybody's down there close to the rail, at least of late, or has been effective down there of late.
Confidence. We touched on this earlier for the riders. What does this mean for Rosie Napravnik when she goes back into the locker room, just having won a Grade 2 stakes race? There she is with Delaney as she gears up to ride My Loot in the run for the Roses.
Well, the races are apples and oranges. A sprint race versus the Kentucky Derby of patience and trying to pick your way through a large field. She was on the lead with very few decisions to make except when to let Delaney out. But it's great. I mean, anytime you win, you walk back in and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. So, I mean, it was a pretty vanilla race. I'm sure Rosie would tell you that she was a passenger more than a pilot, but she'll take it.
He made it look easy. And see that in the red colors, yellow bridle behind Delaney chasing in vain? That's the champion sprinter from 2012. Delaney just dusted him. Is it fair to say that this might be the best sprinter in the United States?
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, he's the best sprinter I think we have, at least on the East Coast right now. Jimmy Creed's pretty good out in California. But his numbers are excellent. I mean, he would be right up there.
Delaney at 9-5. Rosie Napravnik with Tom Amoss. Jerry, before we part ways here, we've been discussing the Derby since we got here last Tuesday. We went through the draw. We saw the Oaks yesterday. All the undercard coverage this afternoon. I still have no idea where your money would be. We need a selection. Who do you like to win today's Derby?
I'm gonna still go with Orb. I think It's My Lucky Day will run a very, very good race. I think Revolutionary will run a good race, but Revolutionary's got to navigate his way through probably at least 15 horses and maybe 16 or 18. So he's got his issues as well, but I'm going to go with Orb for my win.
Orb for Shug McGahee, trying for his first Kentucky Derby. For Todd Pletcher, he has the 5 horses, winning the Oaks yesterday, Jerry. Would anything short of a Kentucky Derby win today and a sweep of an Oaks and a Derby be considered a disappointment for Todd Pletcher?
Oh, no. Listen, Todd knows how hard it is to win this thing. I mean, statistically, even though he's run as many horses as he has, you know, it's not that much out of line because he's taken, you know, pretty much long shots over here. He does have legitimate chances today, but he still knows, as I know, like anybody that's been around this game, you need a lot of luck. I think he'll be disappointed if none of them run well. But they could all run well and not win if somebody gets the lucky trip or that runs the race of their life. So there's still a lot to be determined here.
Don't sleep on Palace Malice. Remember how good his sire was in the slop Curlin when he won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Coming up next on the NBC Sports Network, Major League Soccer with the Columbus Crew hosting the New York Red Bulls. And next on NBC, the running of the 139th Kentucky Derby. As the rain continues to fall, we get closer and closer to this American Classic. Post time 6:25 for the first jewel in the 2013 Triple Crown.
You're watching NBC Sports, home of the Triple Crown.
At 8 this morning, the gates at Churchill Downs were opened, officially commencing the biggest day of the year in horse racing. And a party you'd be hard-pressed to beat. If it's tradition you're looking for, well, you'll see it in hatware of unparalleled variety. And you can taste it, too, assuming you're of age, of course, in the ubiquitous signature mint juleps. And you can also sense it in anticipation of the 11th race of the day, the Kentucky Derby. The top 2 choices on the morning line were Orb and Verrazano, the latter of which is one of 5 horses in this field trained by Todd Pletcher. Doug O'Neill was the trainer of last year's winner, I'll Have Another. This year, his horse is Golden Sense, and his jockey is Kevin Krieger, bidding to become the first African-American to win this race in more than 100 years. Rosie Napravnik is back trying to become the first woman jockey ever to win the Derby. She's aboard the relative long shot, My Loot. Gary Stevens won the Derby 3 times before retiring 7 years ago. Now at age 50, he's left the broadcast booth and returned to the track, riding Dwayne Lucas's colt Oxbow today. With a crowd of more than 150,000 filling Churchill Downs, undeterred apparently by a soggy Saturday, everyone is anticipating the best 3-year-olds in racing coming down the stretch under the Twin Spires in the 139th Kentucky Derby. Greetings from Churchill Downs on a soggy Saturday. It is, in fact, that would be an understatement. It isn't just raining, it's pouring, and it has been for hours, and it's expected to continue this way right on through the race. let's take a look at the present odds. Revolutionary, right now as we speak, is the favorite at 5-1. Definitely the Calvin Borel effect. Borel has won 3 previous derbies. You know he's known as Calvin Borel. He's only 1 spot removed from the rail as this race begins at about 6:30 Eastern Time. Orb at 7-1 was the morning line choice. Now falls to the second choice along with Golden Sense, each at 7-1. It might be worth noting that the number 12 horse, It's My Lucky Day, is 9-1. It's My Lucky Day has won previously in the mud. And Rosie Napravnik's mount, My Loot, the number 6 horse, is listed at 13-1. And those odds have come down a little bit as a portion of the public gets behind Rosie, hopes to become the first woman jockey ever to win the Derby. We have a strong field of our own to cover the race and battle the conditions. And we start at the barns with Bob Neumeier. Bob.
Where it's raining sideways, no doubt about that. You know, trainer Todd Pletcher is fielding a basketball squad, if you will, 5 runners, including Verrazano. He's unbeaten 4 for 4. He's been phenomenally successful, Todd Pletcher, but in the Kentucky Derby, not so much. Just 1 win in 31 tries. But here Pletcher has a chance to set racing records today if he can win it, because he'll be the only 3rd trainer to sweep the Kentucky Oaks in the Kentucky Derby. Let's say hello to Donna Brothers.
When the horses leave the paddock for the 139th Kentucky Derby, they'll walk through the tunnel, which is relatively quiet. And then they'll walk out here and see the biggest crowd they've ever seen in their lives. They'll look to their left, a sea of people. They look to their right, another sea of people. And if they try to take their minds off of it and look straight ahead in the infield, another sea of people, 150,000 people, in fact. And then they'll race against the biggest crowd of horses they've ever seen in their life. They'll face 18 opponents for the biggest race of their life. No pressure on these young horses. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
Well, Donna, I'm here in the infield, and I'm surrounded by people huddled in their tents, wearing everything from ponchos to garbage bags. This is my 42nd straight Kentucky Derby, my first trip to the infield. You can hear them behind me. They're going crazy. They came from all over. I met John from Iowa, came with 40 people on a bus. Kathy from Michigan with her group, and all these guys back here from Louisville. They came to have fun. They pay their $40. They come in here and they party. Kenny, $40. It's a little more expensive up where you are.
Indeed, Mike. I'm at the top of Churchill Downs, where a ticket here goes for over $12,000. And welcome to the Mansion, the newest addition here at the track, fast becoming known as Billionaires Row. And money alone does not get you in here. It's an invitation private list of just over 300 guests. I mean, nobody can get in. Nobody can get it. Not even the Kentucky Derby trophy right now is out here in the foyer with me. But we took a peek inside earlier. Here are the amenities. This is luxury to the max. A personal chef, a concierge, a butler. After all, it is a mansion. But, you know, someone could have a bad day here on Billionaires Row, and next year they may have to go down 1 floor below us to Millionaires Row. But they could hang out with Michelle Beadle.
Yeah, that's a double loss for somebody, isn't it? I shed a tear if you end up down here on Millionaires Row. But thank you, Kenny. Yes, I've got my book, my julep. I'm ready to go. My first Kentucky Derby. I hope to bring the aspect of, whoa, what is going on here? We've got a lot of fashion. We've got stars. And despite the rain, it doesn't seem to be stopping people from having fun, enjoying the beverages and the ponies as they might. So we will bring all that to you. And then I try to go somewhere where no one is allowed to go. Right now, though, I want to throw it to a man who I hope to share some juleps with sometime, Bob Costas.
That could be any time after about 7 Eastern this evening, Michelle. Some 150,000 were expected to attend. We'll have to wait for the official attendance, see if anybody stayed away or how many stayed away because of the inclement conditions. In any case, the Kentucky Derby is coming up, the 139th Run for the Roses, when we come back after this.
139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands, is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By CenturyLink, Data Voice Cloud, Managed Services. By Mercedes-Benz, experience truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer. And by U.S. Bank, all of us serving you.
Have heavy rain. Track conditions listed as sloppy. Post time for the 139th Derby, 6:30 Eastern time. The purse, $2.2 million, right around that figure. First place will draw $1.4 million. The record for the Derby is still the epic run of Secretariat 40 years ago in 1973, 159 2/5. As you might expect, this is the first major national sports event since the tragedy at the Boston Marathon, and security has been ratcheted up. They've limited the size of bags that can be brought in. There are additional searches as the spectators pass through the turnstiles. Some 150,000 expected, and this is going to be the new normal, with all sporting events and all major public gatherings receiving additional security in the aftermath of what happened in Boston. Let's go to Tom Hammond, who is not only a horse racing expert, not only a native Kentuckian, but by this time a Derby institution. He'll handle it from here. Tom?
Well, I feel 100 years old sitting here in a monsoon, but at least I have a roof over my head, Bob, which you have to have the umbrella. This is an intriguing Kentucky Derby. Lots of compelling storylines. Coming into today, you could make a good case for 6 or 8 horses, but now in these conditions, we should be alert for anything, for some kind of surprise result, perhaps. So here's the way the 19 horses will line up in the gate today. Oxbow, that's Lucas and Stevens, 5th in the Arkansas Derby. Revolutionary, who's taken 3 in a row, including the Louisiana Derby. Golden Soul, 4th in the Louisiana Derby. Normandy Invasion, who was 2nd in the Wood Memorial. My Loot, Rosie rides the Louisiana Derby 2nd. Giant Finish, 3rd place in the Spiral. Golden Sense, Kevin Krieger pilots the Santa Anita Derby winner. Overanalyze, who took the Arkansas Derby. Palace Malice, 2nd in the Bluegrass. Lines of Battle from Ireland, winner of the UAE Derby in Dubai. It's My Lucky Day, 2nd in the Florida Derby. Falling Sky, 4th in the Arkansas Derby. Verrazano, unbeaten in 4 starts, including the Wood Memorial. Charming Kitten, 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes. Orb, winner of 4 in a row, the latest, the Florida Derby. Will Take Charge, it took the Rebel Stakes 7 weeks ago. Frack Daddy, 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. Java's War, champion of the Bluegrass Stakes. And Vijack, who suffered his first career defeat, went 3rd in the Wood Memorial. And we welcome in our analyst now, Randy Moss. Gary Stevens, of course, is back on the track. He's going to be out there in the rain in the Kentucky Derby aboard Oxbow. So he's given up his seat, and Randy takes over here. And, you know, the Derby for the 3-year-olds is all about first-time things. First time a mile and a quarter. First time to face this many horses. First time to see this many people. Now, for a lot of them, first time they'll see an off-racetrack.
You talk about your X factors. Mother Nature has dropped her monkey wrench right in the middle of our gearbox. Only 6 of these horses have ever raced in conditions like this. Only 2, It's My Lucky Day and Vijack, have won in this junk. But you know who's smiling right now? Jockey Calvin Burrell. He has won the last 2 sloppy track runnings of the Kentucky Derby. And maybe it's coincidence, but his Revolutionary right now is the surprise favorite.
Well, Orb has been the hot horse over the past week or so. Orb has never been on an off racetrack, a sloppy racetrack, and he was the morning line favorite, but now is only 2nd choice.
Other than the weather, everything's gone perfectly for Orb this week. I mean, he has been the hot horse. He's won 4 consecutive races. His Florida Derby victory last time out was the most impressive of any of the prep races of these horses. The number 16 post, though, a bit of a question mark. And then there's Verrazano. He's won his last 4 as well. Those are his only races. He's a perfect 4 for 4. He won the Wood Memorial last time out, and he'll have his sidekick, jockey John Velasquez, back from injury. Those are the 2 horses everyone thought would be the favorites, but right now John Q. Public apparently has other ideas.
Well, everyone's trying to stay dry here at Churchill Downs. If you go underneath the grandstand, it's packed in there as people try to get out of the weather. This Churchill Downs complex is over 150 acres beneath the famous Twin Spires. There's Millionaire's Row. That's where Michelle is, up there staying dry. The infield, not so dry at the moment. And, of course, the jockey's room, where the jockeys are now in preparation for the race. The horses live in the stable area, as you see. We call it the backstretch. The paddock is where they'll come to be saddled, and all aiming to arrive first at that finish line. Well, Michelle actually is on the 5th floor, keeping that hat dry. Michelle?
That's right, Tom. I busted out the Fascinator, of which I learned about yesterday. I'm up here on the 5th floor, Millionaires Row, as you called it. A part of the Derby, whether you want it or not, is not just the horses and the racing and the betting. It's a lot to do with the fashion, and that goes back to way when we still had black and white pictures. Let's take a look. It's about the ladies looking glamorous, the hats, the walk. I'm a big believer in making every day your own personal catwalk day. And who better to come join me to talk about that now than supermodel and star of Oxygen's The Face, Coco Rocha, who is looking fabtastic, if I do say so myself. I love the fact that the rain's not stopping everyone from being a little bit crazy, but the hats, and I know I'm not.
You're not wearing a hat. You're not on trend today. You were yesterday. Not
Can't,
so much
it can't
today.
be perfect. I can't.
No.
But the hats, we've seen a lot of big ones.
A lot of big ones, and it is impressive. I mean, the bigger the better, especially in the rainy weather. It's a great umbrella, but yes, look at that. I mean, and a lot of people have been telling me that they make their own hats, which I have not. This is Philip Tracy, so.
But you could, Coco.
Maybe one day.
You could. I love it. The other thing is it's gray, it's dreary, it's a little bit depressing, but the florals, they bring us up.
Yes, I mean, everyone had their outfits already planned, whether or not it was going to be rainy, and that's making everyone a little excited, I think so. But yes, everyone is definitely in Florida, and it's nice.
It's nice. And the rain, as we've talked about, and will continue to do so for the next few hours, can't ignore it, so you prep for it, and that's the third trend.
Yes, that is the third trend. I mean, either you really did well and you got some really chic, jackets, or you just got a garbage bag and you put it over your hat, which is still cool, I guess. But
I think it's cool.
It's a trend today.
I think it's very cool. Coco Rocha, thank you. I know now you can go have a little fun.
I know, I'm excited.
Put a couple bucks down on something lucky. And not just the derbies, not just the fashion, and not just the juleps, but at night,
Derby Day excitement is found not only at Churchill Downs, but all across the country. This year, Stella Artois partnered with NBC Sports to throw one lucky fan and friends the ultimate Kentucky Derby party.
Here in Wading River, New York, one lucky Stella Artois Ultimate Party winner is hosting an amazing day to celebrate the Run for the Roses to the fullest.
Jessica, congratulations on winning the Stella Artois Kentucky Derby Party. How are you enjoying yourself today?
I'm having a wonderful time. My family and friends have a long tradition of hosting Kentucky Derby parties, but we've never had one quite like this.
Today, Jessica will enjoy the fashion, food by Belgian master chef Danielle Joly, and of course, Stella Artois. We'll check back in for post-race celebration later on NBC Sports Network.
Well, the original party, of course, is at Churchill Downs. You had to dress for the weather today, though, if you're going to go outside. Many under the stands are partying their way through the afternoon. And, of course, the parties are going on all around the country. Derby parties are a tradition. Irving, Texas, Boulder, Colorado, staying dry here in Louisville, and Santa Monica, California. Just a sampling of the Derby parties underway right now. And here's a sampling of some of the celebrities arriving. Martina McBride will sing the national anthem a little later with Jane Seymour. Bodie Miller had a horse named after him, Bodie Meister, remember last year. Jason Biggs arriving. Miranda Lambert is here. And Lauren Conrad. And of course, the celebrities aren't the only one that are, quote, personalities, right, Michelle?
Oh, 100% correct. Yes, sir, Tom. I think it's very easy to get caught up in being seen and the parties and all of that, but I needed to make sure that before I left Louisville, I got to know the real stars here this weekend, the athletes themselves, these 3-year-olds that everyone is actually here to watch the horses. 19 Derby horses, 19 different horse personalities. Take It's My Lucky Day, a bit of a pretty boy who likes to stop and check out his own reflection. With a mug like this, who can blame him? We are here with Eddie Plisa, and it's my lucky day. And the thing that really gets me about this horse, Eddie, is his love for himself. Exactly. What do you see here? Oh, my. Wow. He is... And that's my first thing of the day. Thank you, buddy. Oh, He's like a giant doggy. A European horse has never won the Kentucky Derby, and I think I figured out why. This year, one European horse is entered, Lines of Battle. And where did he go as soon as he got to U.S. soil? Quarantine. He's in the quarantine barn all by himself. And right now, I'm as close as I'm ever going to get, probably too close. I'm rooting for you, Lines of Battle. Can you hear me?
Racing can be stressful business. The pressure to win, the small human on your back. But nothing bothers Golden Soul, a Derby long shot whose stable
gets me. This is Oxbow. Oxbow likes his tongue grabbed. Yeah, I'm grabbing Oxbow's tongue. If you want to know what it feels like, feel your own tongue. It's softer and longer than that. Why do you like that so much? Okay, that's just... I love him. I actually had to wash my hands before touching the tongue. That's great. By the way, Lines of Battle, if you're wondering, completely normal standard protocol on that because he came over from Ireland and is going right back. That is why he was kept in there the entire time, so don't worry. We do live in the age of social media. We are all tweeting, and that shouldn't keep the horses themselves from having some fun. So yeah, a couple of the guys have their own Twitter accounts, Golden Sense, Palace Malice. I like Vijack personally there at the bottom. Only a few hours left till the Derby, and as any good self-promoter knows, always hashtag yourself. That is how you expand the brand. Horses on Twitter. Where's Costas now? Let's go back to Tom.
And it's really hard to tweet with a hoof, I can tell you that. For a live in-depth look at the Kentucky Derby, check out NBC Sports Live Extra, where you can watch a live stream of today's race with alternate camera angles. The Kentucky Derby on NBC Sports Live Extra, available on NBCSports.com and your mobile and tablet device. Derby Day in Louisville, a soggy one. And we're on board earlier this week with Vijack. Vijack, who is full of personality. He's been exploring new territory here at Churchill Downs. Today is his first race outside his base at Aqueduct in New York. Tonight at 7 Eastern, the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on the NBC Sports Network. First, it's the Ducks and Red Wings, and then the Blues face the Kings. And tomorrow at noon Eastern, a doubleheader on NBC, the Stanley Cup playoffs presented by Geico. And on the subject of championships, Lord Stanley's Cup made a trip to the backstretch at Churchill Downs, and to the bar going to Doug O'Neill, a big hockey fan, to wish O'Neill and Golden Sense good luck in the Derby. Let's go back to Michelle.
Thanks, Tom. I'm with Luke Bryan right now, who's got me rattled a little bit.
Rattled?
Because he's having a good time. Are you not having a good time?
I've been like 3 days. I'm 3 days into a good time here.
I need to do this, and I'm doing this with respect. But you're a country music juggernaut, and you're busting out the pastel blue in the hat. Are you going to get ripped from your colleagues?
Ripped? No, I'm not concerned with that because... Okay. Hey, you got to rock it with confidence. And I haven't had a Stetson. This is like a, you know what? My grandfather, my papa, this was his everyday attire, and this was he was a big horse guy, and so I called a bunch of my family and friends from South Georgia. They came up. They're all here at the Derby, and we're all rocking the classic hats.
Who's your pick?
For the Derby?
For the Derby.
Well, I mean, what's funny is
Luke, spit it out.
Well, no, I'm not telling my secrets, really. Nobody's piggybacking on this, but no. I think I'm kind of liking Revolutionary.
There you go.
Maybe Orb.
No, not maybe Orb. Revolutionary. Luke Bryan called it here.
Is that your pick?
No, I'm not telling you my pick. I'll jinx it. Tom, back to you.
All right, Michelle. Well, Revolutionary is one of several bargains in the Kentucky Derby field this year. Vijack, you could have purchased at Keeneland there for $45,000, or at Fasig-Tipton for $45,000, has earned over $500,000. It's My Lucky Day, $47,000 purchased, over $600,000 in earnings. Revolutionary, purchased for $80,000, has earned nearly $900,000. And Golden Sense, just a $5,500 purchase, has earned $1.25 million. Well, with 25,000 new horses born every year, picking out the racehorse that's been bred and trained to make it here in Kentucky is no easy task. But somehow David Wilkenfeld has defied the odds and punched his ticket to the Derby with his very first horse, the gelding Vijack. Every spring, the eyes of horse racing's fashionable fans turn to its biggest tracks. For rookie owner David Wilkenfeld, the idea of running his first horse on the sport's biggest stage should be nerve-rattling. But this is his time of year. After all, spring is prom season. And David, like his father Jack before him, is a prom king.
I probably made in my lifetime now 5 or 10 or 15 million gowns. Maybe more. I don't even know.
Jack used to give him dresses that were not selling, and he used to go to the flea markets, and he would stay there all day long selling dresses. And he always went after his dream. And I guess he really has succeeded.
I gave him 6 months. I have egg on my face.
What are we looking at numbers-wise today?
We're looking about 1,700 today.
When he first created his dress website in the internet boom of the 90s, it struggled. But David Wilkenfeld doubled down. And with over 180,000 dresses now in stock, PromGirl.com is the #1 online supplier for prom's most important accessory.
You know, as an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk taker by nature. You have to be willing to fail and accept failure. And then, you know, the rest is luck.
Switching from sequins and chiffon to the silks of the track has long been lucky for Wilkenfeld. His skills calculating risk and reward have won him millions in pick six bets. But buying Vijack is easily his biggest gamble yet.
And Vijack takes the Gotham Stakes.
The whole idea of looking for a 2-year-old is finding that next champion, that next Kentucky Derby horse. Otherwise, you know, why do it?
There's a lot.
Okay.
From his online storefront to his new racing stable, it's Wilkenfeld's hard work that have made all his long shots shorter. And every time his horse takes to the track, its name echoes those who instilled these values in the beginning. His parents, Vivian and Jack.
I'm glad he thinks enough of us, that he thinks we're amazing, as he said. And he's got an amazing winner horse and winner parents, so goes together.
Vi and Jack. I got to give him credit. He really bought something that evidently is good.
And Wilkenfeld's stable is called the Pick Six Stable, and he's hit a number of pick sixes, including one at Santa Anita for over $3 million. And Vijack suffered his first defeat in the Wood Memorial.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a squirrely horse, but he's good. I mean, he's only lost one race, and yet he's 30-1. That's how tough this field is. The Wood Memorial, he was up against top competition. Verrazano, who he was within striking distance of, as you can see in the deep stretch. Normandy Invasion ran past him at the end, but Vijack had an excuse in this race. Immediately afterward, he was diagnosed with a lung infection, and that's a legitimate excuse. This is a bit interesting. He'll be ridden for the first time by Garrett Gomez. When they call riders up in the paddock, Gomez will actually be sitting on Vijack's back for the very first time. That's a nice little get to know you, huh?
Yeah, but Vijack won't be experiencing an off track for the first time. He has won in the mud. Vijack trained by Rudy Rodriguez, a former exercise rider for the controversial trainer Rick Dutrow, who's currently serving a 10-year suspension for medication violations. And Rodriguez, too, has served suspensions, and he had to undergo a hearing to be licensed in Kentucky. And at that hearing, he volunteered to have Vijack placed under 24-hour video surveillance. So here's the video surveillance setup on the backstretch in the barn area here at Churchill Downs. So after he did volunteer to have his horse under that constant video surveillance, he was granted a provisional license to race in Kentucky. All right, let's check the current odds here in the Kentucky Derby, with Revolutionary still at 5-1. Golden Sense is 7-1. Orb is also at 7-1. It's My Lucky Day at 9-1, and so is Verrazano. So the favorite Revolutionary, trained by Todd Pletcher, and Revolutionary 1 of 5 sent to the post by Pletcher today, and he's with Bob Neumeier down at the stable.
All right, thank you very much with Todd. Sloppy track, good or bad for you?
I think it could help a few of them, particularly Revolutionary seems to train really well in it. His sire Warpass won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile on a very sloppy track. I think it probably helps him the most. The other ones don't know, haven't had as much experience with them on it.
All right, you mentioned Revolutionary. Let's play a little name association. Verrazano.
Verrazano, someone asked me the other day if I could compare him to an athlete, and I'd say it's probably LeBron James, because, I mean, he's just one of those horses. He can do a little bit of everything. He's a big, imposing, physical horse that, you know, could probably play 5 different positions on the floor if he was a basketball player.
Overanalyze.
He's tough and gritty, you know. I mean, he doesn't mind mixing it up. He got roughed up pretty much in the futurity last year and didn't seem to bother him at all. I think he'll be well suited to a big field like this.
Palace Malice.
He's the one that's just, you know, he's got a tremendous amount of talent. We just need him to kind of finish one off, and I think the blinkers might be the key to that.
And Charming Kitten.
Well, I think he's a blue-collar horse. He shows up every time. He tries hard. I think the sloppy track could help him as well.
All right, with all your success, people are going to bring up the 1-31 record. How do you view it?
Well, I don't think it's really 1 for 31. I think it's 1 for 12, which still isn't as good as most of our stats, but it's not horrible either. And, you know, we need another one to kind of solidify it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Todd Pletcher says Revolutionary will move up on a sloppy track.
Well, he's the favorite, 5-1, Bob. As you see the odds on the other Pletcher horses, Overanalyze 14, Palace Malice 22-1, Verrazano 9, and Charming Kitten is 30-1. And you heard Bob and Todd talking about that record at the Kentucky Derby, 31 starters, and the average finish for those 31 starters is 11th place. And, of course, his only winner was Super Sabre. Now, this is the man that 5 times has been the Eclipse Award winner as the top trainer in the United States. And you think that Derby stat is misleading?
I do. I mean, you heard the way Todd looked at it, because he's had multiple starters some years. He only views it as 1 for 12. It's actually 1 for 31, but here's the deal. His average starter has been 27-1. He's never run a favorite in the Kentucky Derby. 27-1 shots win an average of 3% of the time. And what's Todd's record? 1 for 31, 3%. He's actually won as often as the odds say he should win. He's just been a statistical victim of his own prowess at getting average horses into the Kentucky Derby.
Well, we heard him say, though, they needed a second one. He has 5 shots at it today. Just down the street from Churchill Downs, Papa John's Cardinal Stadium, home of the University of Louisville football team, the Sugar Bowl champions this past season. And, of course, everybody knows about the prowess of the Louisville basketball team. And Bob Costas is with Coach Rick Pitino.
Well, Tom, as a native Kentuckian, you know in this state it's all about horses and hoops, and Rick Pitino has combined them both. This was part of the scene a month ago when his Louisville Cardinals were crowned national champions, and it ends with Rick embracing Kevin Ware and then cutting down the nets on that weekend. Boy, talk about the weekend of a lifetime. You win the national championship. You're elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Your son Richard gets the head coaching job at Minnesota. Golden Sense wins the Santa Anita Derby. Now, a month later, you could cap it with a Derby victory. Would you just walk into the sunset at that point? Because I know I would. No encore possible.
Without question, it really has been an incredible month, incredible season. 16 games in a row, and the last time we'll play in the Big East. So it was very exciting, to say the least.
Can people outside Kentucky fully understand what the Derby and what college basketball means in this state?
Well, you think about it. A state of 3 million people. Last year, Kentucky wins the championship. We win it this year. The Derby is part of our fabric, and we have a horse in it. It's really special because basketball in this state, there's no state like it. I mean, Kansas and North Carolina and Indiana, they have it, but they have their professional teams. We have no professional sports. This is it.
Were you a horse guy before you came to Kentucky to coach?
A little bit, but Claiborne Farms and Seth Hancock, we used to take our recruits the first year when they all come in. We take them to Claiborne Farms in Paris, Kentucky. Mr. Prospector would roll out, and then comes out the mighty Secretariat to take pictures with all the families and recruits.
I'm not going to ask you to disrobe, but I think we have a shot. You made good on your promise to your players, some of whom have tattoos, and you got a Louisville L right here.
Oh, we
where I'm
do.
pointing,
And
right?
the 2013 state championship, there's that Arnold Schwarzenegger body. And yeah, you know, he wanted to make it this big, and I said, look, if I'm going to do something this silly, make it real big so I can have it.
Good feeling about Doug O'Neill's horse, Golden Sense, today?
You know, they're the most optimistic group of trainers I've ever been around in my life. They say, why not us? We think we're going to win it, so I'm all in with them.
Rick, congratulations on everything that's transpired so far. Good luck today.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, let's go back to Tom.
All right, Bob, and I'm wondering if Rick's getting another tattoo if Golden Sense wins the Derby today. Could have matching ones if Golden Sense wins the Roses.
The 139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands, is brought to you by Ram, the official truck of the Kentucky Derby. Guts, glory, Ram. By Scott Trade. See for yourself why investors are saying, I'm with Scott Trade. And by Longines, official timekeeper of the Longines Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby.
Aerial coverage this weekend brought to you by the Minions flying the Despicable Me and Universal's animated comedy Despicable Me 2 in theaters July 3rd. Well, the attendance perhaps held down a bit by the rainy conditions today, but through the years we've seen it just get greater and greater as a sporting event. 1901, only 20,000 here to see His Eminence win. In 41, Whirlaway began his Triple Crown campaign before 90,000 at Churchill Downs. 40 years ago, the great Secretariat before 134,000 set the track record. And 165,000, a new record last year, as I'll Have Another took home the Roses. And let's go back to Michelle.
Thanks, Tom. You know, while I sit here and schmooze, there are actually people amongst us doing real work. One level above, our race announcer, Larry Collmus, is getting ready to call the 139th Kentucky Derby. Now, I know some of you watching right now on your couch, very comfortable, thinking, big deal, I could do that. Think again. The other day, Larry gave me a lesson on how to call a race. Okay, so obviously the names are quite fun. I think some of us go just by that. What's the greatest name? Can you remember, or do you have one?
Well, I called one race with two names. Okay. One was My Wife Knows Everything. The other one was The Wife Doesn't Know.
Into the final furlong. My wife knows everything. The wife doesn't know. They're 1-2. Of course they are.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah?
Are you allowed to just say there's the gray horse, or am I going to get in trouble for that?
You preferably refer to the horse by their name, you know?
Madras. I'll call Master Wesley, gray horse.
Bridge City.
Channel marker. Oops.
All right, listen and learn.
They're off. It's Master Wesley going out to the front.
So I watched Larry do his thing for one race. Impressive, but I think I could give it that little something special. The number 8, oh, Pretty in Pink. Wait, they say that's orange and black? That's not orange and black. Am I on the right page? Larry is not better than you. Larry has just had more practice. And they're off! Oh, God, I see nothing!
Gaelico came out quickly in Flame Spirit on the far outside with speed 2.
The pink horse is out front. The red horse, number 5, Gaelico, about, I don't know, a few feet ahead of him.
Gaelico is the leader by a neck.
Who's in last? Did we get all the horses? I feel like one didn't make it out.
The pace is very fast here, and hopefully Michelle's call is okay. Not so sure about that.
Here they come around this bend.
At the top of the stretch, Street Serenade on the rails.
Look at that. It looks like we're going to have an upset here.
Down to the 16th pole.
The pink horse is coming up on the outside. That happens to be In Flame Spirit.
Reason to be proud on the outside. The two of them come down to the wire.
That's not In Flame Spirit. It's actually number 2, which is Reason to be proud. That's orange. Larry, consider yourself served, son. And if I had the right horse, that would have been amazing. Yeah, Larry, I know there's not a lot to improve on perfection there, but what'd you think?
Well, let me put it this way. It was unlike anything I've ever heard.
You know what? I will actually accept that as a compliment because I am that foolish. Larry, your job is legit and it's hard. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Tom, back to you.
Very comforting to know that Michelle is standing by should Larry lose his voice a little later this afternoon. Who do you think will win the Derby today? Well, join the conversation on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/NBC Sports. And a little bonus coverage for you. There's Gary Stevens. He's riding in our next race. The Turf Classic will go on the grass when we come back to Churchill Downs. One of the strongest fields in the game takes on the famous stadium course at TPC Sawgrass, the Players' Championship. Coverage begins Thursday at 1 Eastern on Golf Channel, continues next Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on NBC. And the horses on the track warming up. They'll be going on to the turf course, which is rated yielding at the moment for the Turf Classic. There have been a couple of scratches in this field. Swift Warrior and Point of Entry. So here are the odds. Point of Entry would have been one of the favorites, probably the second choice. The favorite, Wise Dan, at 1-2 as we reshuffle to show you favorites to long shots. Wise Dan 1-2. He is the reigning horse of the year who has won 8 of his last 9 races. So Optimizer and Geronimo at 6-1 each, but a long way behind Wise Dan in the eyes of the bettors, who is 1-2.
Just goes to show you what Kentucky Derby Day at Churchill Downs is all about. It's not about just the Kentucky Derby, some other great races as well, and you're looking at the #1 racehorse in America right now. I mean, this horse wins on everything. He wins on grass, he wins on dirt, they run him on synthetic racetracks. He could probably run in the Churchill Downs parking lot and beat most of the horses. He's got just an incredible will to win, and that's why he's a heavy favorite in here.
Wise Dan, who's had one race this year, that was a winning effort at Keeneland, owned by Morton Fink, ridden by Jose Lescano, trained by Charlie Lopristi. And here's Silver Max with Robbie Alvarado, trained by Dale Romans, who won the Eclipse Award as the top trainer last year.
Yeah, we got some superstars in here. Wise Dan likes to sit back a little bit. Silver Max, when the gates open, it's go, go, go. I mean, he will open up a big early lead. That's the way he likes to run. The last time he ran against Wise Dan, it didn't turn out too well. That was last fall at Keeneland, but he does have some really good races on his form before that.
And Gary Stevens aboard Slim Shady.
Gary likes this horse. When he made his celebrated comeback earlier this year, Slim Shady gave him his very first victory in his comeback in what's called a graded stakes race. Those are the very best races in America. That was out in California. But Gary's going to have to call on all his wiles here, because the last 6 times Slim Shady has raced, when he didn't make the early lead, he finished out of the money. And he's not as fast as Silver Max. So Silver Max is going to go to the front, and Gary's going to have to try to talk Slim Shady into thinking that it's okay.
And Slim Shady looked like a handful. Donna?
Well, with the venerable Wise Dan in here, I still wouldn't count out the 4 Silver Max. This is a horse who's won a stakes over this grass course. He's won on the yielding turf course. And his last race was his first race of the year, a race he probably needed because he didn't break sharp and he didn't get that early lead. But if he does get a lead in here, guys, he might be tough to pass even for Wise Dan.
All right, loading into the gate for the Turf Classic. There's Gary Stevens and Slim Shady. I think Larry's going to call this, not Michelle. Okay. So as Optimizer goes in, let's go to Larry Collmus for the call of the Turf Classic.
Yeah, this one will be me, Tom, for sure. We've got Optimizer moving into the starting gate. He's going to take stall 3 here under Joel Rosario, who will be riding morning line favorite Orb in the Kentucky Derby in just a couple of hours. As you see, Slim Shady with Gary Stevens getting a little bit fired up in the starting gate there. He's really going up to the front of the gate, and Gary's going to get off of Slim Shady here as he continues to be restless. They'll try to settle Slim Shady down, and then Gary Stevens will get back aboard. And now it looks like Slim Shady is settled down, and here comes the horse of the year, Wise Dan, to the outside stall. He goes in. They're all in line. We are ready for the start. They're off in the Turf Classic. And it's Silver Max, as expected, who goes right out to take the early lead. And Wise Dan is there on the far outside. Optimizer away running in between those two, and now takes second. Wise Dan settles back in third. Bim Bam is fourth. Slim Shady fifth on the inside, backing off about 6 or 7 lengths off the lead early. And then it's Geronimo, and well behind is Mitty. Mitty's a good 14 lengths off of Silver Max and Robbie Alvarado, who completed quarter in 23 and 4/5 seconds. That's a pretty good pace over this wet going. The leader here, Silver Max, by a length and a half. And Optimizer is second onto the backstretch. Wise Dan, the horse of the year, is third, and he's well in control at this stage under Jose Lezcano. He's 2.5 lengths off the lead and clear of Bim Bam. Gary Stevens has Slim Shady 8 lengths behind the front runners. It's another 2.5 back to Geronimo, and Mitty and Cisco Torres continue to race in last after 48 and 2.5 miles. So they move for the far turn, where it's been Silver Max all the way, and Optimizer is still second. Wise Dan third. He's got to go 3 deep as they go into the turn. Bim Bam follows in fourth. Slim Shady is fifth. Then Geronimo and Mitty. And Optimizer now makes his move for the lead, but Wise Dan is strong to the outside. Silver Max is put to a drive, and he's still in contention on the rail, and the three of them turn for home together. Silver Max, Optimizer, and Wise Dan. And now Wise Dan, who's still under a hand ride, has grabbed the lead as they come to the 8th pole. And Wise Dan is pulling away now from Optimizer and from Silver Max. It is Wise Dan coming down to the wire clear from Optimizer in second. The horse of the year shows him why. Wise Dan, and Jose Lezcano did it. It was Optimizer second. Mitty from dead last got third, and Silver Max finished fourth in a final time of 1 minute 51.84 seconds. That's the horse of the year from last year, Wise Dan.
And 2 for 2 this year. In fact, that is his 6th straight win going back to last year. His first victory on the turf beyond a mile, and he tops $4 million in career earnings today. The reigning horse of the year, Wise Dan, and jockey Jose Lezcano showing you their talents here in the Turf Classic.
We had all hoped to see a matchup between Wise Dan and Point of Entry, as you see Gary Stevens pulling up Optimizer, but because of the rain, the Phipps stable shook McGahey's scratch Point of Entry this morning. But you know, it's still pretty cool to get to see the horse of the year strut his stuff. And there you see one top-class racehorse, and Jose Lezcano knows him well. Johnny Velasquez rides him often. When Johnny doesn't ride him, it's Lezcano. Johnny would have ridden him today, except he had committed to Point of Entry. And then when Point of Entry scratches, Johnny's left without a mount. But it doesn't matter to Wise Dan.
There's a great one. Wise Dan victorious in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky on the first Saturday in May, the biggest day of the year in horse racing, and a spectacle that always stands alone. If you're looking for the answer to what sets this race on this day, on these grounds, apart from all the others, you might focus on the rituals. All the different ways so many different people prepare for it. A tradition, a celebration, and the most important race they'll ever be a part of. Amiable, colorful, controversial. Trainer Doug O'Neill won his first Derby a year ago. Now he returns for another shot with another unheralded jockey aiming for his own piece of history.
I'm making history with this horse, and the further this horse gets, more of a race horse you're going to see.
A female rider has never won the Derby. Rosie Napravnik is intent on being the first.
Rosie Napravnik to win! This is me and my dreams coming true.
And even for a trainer who often saddles multiple contenders, Todd Pletcher's crop of 5 this time out is especially strong, led by the unbeaten Verrazano.
Verrazano on to the Derby!
And at the age of 50, he decided 3 victories and a place in the Hall of Fame weren't enough. So jockey Gary Stevens came back to ride for a trainer also highly decorated, but also still hungry. With the biggest party of the year going on around them, with traditions renewed on every corner of the grounds, all of them have come here with the same hope, that they'll finish the day as part of the final ritual with their horse draped in the garland of roses at the 139th Kentucky Derby. Post time for the Derby is about 90 minutes away, and even though an umbrella is still in order, the rain has subsided considerably. And now we have an updated forecast that indicates that it may in fact clear out to some extent by the time the races actually run. There are two horses in the field, Vijack and It's My Lucky Day, that have previously won under muddy conditions, and at present the track is listed as sloppy. Let's go to Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, and a short time ago we saw the Turf Classic won by Horse of the Year Wise Dan, who paid $3.20 as the favorite, with Optimizer second and Midi running third. The 8-3 Exacta paying $12.80 for a $2 wager. You see the trifecta and superfecta payouts as well. Well, Randy Moss comes back to join us, and they have a new entry here. This is Jerry Bailey, the Hall of Fame jockey, winner twice of the Kentucky Derby. And, of course, we know Gary Stevens has come out of retirement. He'll be on the track with Oxbow in the Kentucky Derby. But we're very pleased to have Jerry Bailey with us. And, Jerry, in this kind of condition, the sloppy track, it appears we're going to have the 7th Derby run on a sloppy track unless it really, really dries out in the next hour or plus. The jockeys have to make some special preparations as well.
They do, Tom. And goggles are the order of the day here. Jockeys will wear up to 6, even 7 pairs of these goggles as they go through the race. They'll flip one down, they'll let it hang around their neck like this, so on and so forth. The challenge for these jockeys, aside from getting them down correctly, is to figure out how many goggles they have left relative to the distance they have to left front to run. And you never want to run out before you hit the finish wire.
He wears those while he's driving around town sometimes. You see him driving around Florida with those things on. What jockeys have found when they get their goggles fixed today is that it's been a fairly honest racetrack, which we always watch for in days like this. By that, I mean horses can win on the lead, from behind, inside, outside, so that's good news.
And the horses, of course, have an extra eyelid that keeps their eyes clear so they don't get mud in their eyes. And how does this mud affect the horses today who are experiencing a lot of this for the first time?
Well, if we look at our favorites, or what we thought would be our favorites, right, Orb and Verrazano, the jury is kind of out because neither of them have ever started on it before. Orb has a come-from-behind running style, comes from the middle of the pack. Generally, those horses are the most susceptible to a sloppy track because of all the mud flying back, but he has an outside post that might help him in that regard. Verrazano breaks very quickly from the gate, especially in comparison to Orb and even Revolutionary, and he can get perfect position on the outside of the speed. He might be perfectly suited for the way the track is right now.
And a lot of the primary storylines for this Derby revolve around the jockeys.
Yes, Verrazano's jockey, John Velasquez, had a spill about a month ago, and although he's ridden a handful of races, he can't be 100% in terms of everything. Then you have Gary Stevens, who last rode his Kentucky Derby 8 years ago in 2005. Maybe a little rust on his boots. And Kevin Krieger, who's never even been in the Kentucky Derby before. His challenge is to take those emotions that he's going to feel, redirect them, and focus when those gates open.
All right, well, 19 will enter the starting gate, and here's the way they'll line up for the Kentucky Derby. Black Onyx was scratched. Oxbow, that's Lucas and Stevens. He was 5th in the Arkansas Derby. Revolutionaries won 3 in a row, including the Louisiana Derby. Golden Soul was 4th in that same race. Normandy Invasion, 2nd in the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. My Loot, Rosie, rides the Louisiana Derby 2nd. Giant Finish, 3rd place in the Spiral. Golden Sense, Kevin Krieger pilots the Santa Anita Derby winner. Overanalyze, who took the Arkansas Derby. Alice Malice, 2nd in the Bluegrass. Lines of Battle from Ireland. He won the UAE Derby in Dubai. It's My Lucky Day ran 2nd in the Florida Derby. Falling Sky was 4th in the Arkansas Derby. Verrazano, he's unbeaten in 4 starts, including the Wood Memorial. Charming Kitten was 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes. Orb has won 4 in a row, the latest being the Florida Derby. Will Take Charge took the Rebel Stakes. That was 7 weeks ago. Crack Daddy, 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. Java's War, champion of the Bluegrass Stakes. And Vijack, who suffered his first career defeat when he was 3rd in the Wood Memorial. So that's your field for the Kentucky Derby, the 139th edition. Let's go now to Bob Neumeier.
Let's talk about a contrast in training styles. Todd Pletcher aims for the Kentucky Derby each and every year. Orb's trainer, Shug McGahey, has a cautious, perhaps more conservative approach. In fact, McGahey hasn't even started a horse since Saarland in 2002. And Todd has saddled 24 horses since McGahey's last start. But Make no mistake, Shug McGahee is admired and respected in this game, but he has never won the Kentucky Derby. Let's go to Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Bob. Listen to this. 9 out of the last 10 Kentucky Derby winning trainers had 2 or fewer starters prior to winning the Roses. That may bode well today for Eddie Pliza, who brings in what he hopes is the prophetically named It's My Lucky Day. He's been in this business for 40 years, and he knows what it's like to go from relative unknown to the Derby winner's circle. His brother, John Service, did it with Smarty Jones. Now let's go to Lafitte Pinkai.
Only 6 trainers in history have gone back-to-back in the Kentucky Derby. The most recent, Bob Baffert, in 1997 and 1998. In about an hour and a half, Doug O'Neill will try and become the 7th. Who can forget that lasting image of O'Neill celebrating a season ago? His resilient I'll Have Another gunning down Bodemeister in the stretch of last year's Kentucky Derby. This year he'll saddle Golden Sense, who, like I'll Have Another, arrives having won the Santa Anita Derby, and like I'll Have Another, will try and win today with a rookie Derby jockey in the saddle. Tom?
All right, so 7-1 on Golden Sense, partially owned by Louisville basketball coach Rick Pitino. Now for the national anthem. Let's join the Vice President for Communications at Churchill Downs, John Asher.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as Grammy Award winner Martina McBride sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Martina McBride with the national anthem. And what is more American than the Kentucky Derby? Red roses are always in fashion at the Kentucky Derby. And this morning, about 9:45 a.m., the roses the horse will wear. The winning horse at the Kentucky Derby wears that garland of roses being carried into the track this morning. Shop KentuckyDerbyStore.com, the official store of the Kentucky Derby and Churchill Downs. You'll find hats, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. That's KentuckyDerbyStore.com. Well, there's some fine-looking thoroughbreds on display at the Kentucky Derby, and look how they've grown. Horses then and now. In 2010, Normandy Invasion was pretty slight. He's still not the biggest you'll ever see, but he's much bigger than he was. My Loot in 2010, and here he is 3 years later. And Java's War, he's one of the smallest, maybe the smallest in the field. And there's Orb in 2010, and presently in 2013, the morning line favorite. He's trained by Shug McGahee, and back at McGahee's barn is Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Tom. Shug, one of the factors, a lot of attention for Orb. You've only brought one other horse here since 1989. So is it reasonable to say he would not be here if you didn't think he could win?
It's reasonable to say. You know, he brought us here, and
he's had a great winter, and, you know, his Florida Derby was, I thought, a very impressive race, and we're looking forward to this afternoon.
You're a Kentuckian. The people that you work for, the Janney family and the Phipps family, all of you have had great successes on the track, but none of you have won a Kentucky Derby. What does it mean to win one today?
I'm not sure, because I never have, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I think we've got a great opportunity to maybe win today, and for all of us to fill that void. So, you know, hopefully, we'll be good enough.
Good luck today.
All right, Kenny, thanks.
Back to you, Tom.
All right, Kenny, and there's no question a victory by Orb would be a victory for the old school way of doing things.
It's a family that goes back 87 years in the game, the Phipps family. They once owned Seabiscuit, sold him before he got good. Would have had Secretariat, but they came up on the wrong end of a coin toss. Maybe Orb can give them their first Derby win.
Well, we know Orb won the Florida Derby, and let's take another look at that race as our Scott Trade value rising.
And he won it without taking the best of it, really. Orb, as he broke from the gate, was some 5 horses wide going into the first turn. And to give you an understanding of that, for every horse path further out from the rail that a horse runs on both turns, that's a length. So he was running much further than anyone else in the field around the first turn. It continued all the way through the race. As he turned for home, he was still 4 horse widths off the rail. So he ran much further than anybody else in the Florida Derby, yet he still won.
And here's a point that needs to be made as he runs down It's My Lucky Day in the Florida Derby. He won his last 2 at Gulfstream Park, which has the shortest stretch run of any major track in America. Churchill Downs stretch is more than a football field longer than he's been running on. If you're a stretch runner like Orb, the more stretch, the better.
But never on a track like this.
True.
So we'll find out how he handles the sloppy racetrack. We assume it'll be sloppy by post time as we go on to Bob Neumeier.
Rick Porter is the owner of Normandy Invasion. He's a history buff. He visited Normandy for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 1944. So Porter invited 4 veterans to come to the Kentucky Derby. They are Bill Wilch, Ray Woods, J.J. Whitmire, and Alan Reeves. In fact, Alan Reeves plans to bet $69 to win on Normandy Invasion because this is the 69th anniversary of D-Day. And you can bet that Rick Porter, the owner, and all the World War II veterans that are watching us now are hoping against hope that Normandy Invasion will land in the winner's circle at Churchill Downs. Donna.
Calvin Burrell rides Revolutionary today for the first time in a race, but he's worked him twice here at Churchill Downs, and, you know, he's going to be on the inside. That's Calvin Burrell, but this is the inside for most jockeys. For Calvin Burrell, this is the inside, right up against this fence. He's worked Revolutionary twice here at Churchill Downs in the mornings, and both times he's had him right on top of this fence. Here's another thing to take note of, though. Look at the racetrack. When you're down here on the inside, the track is nice and fast and tight. The further out I go, the deeper it gets. You can see my feet just go further and further into the track until you get all the way out here to about the 7 path. So I think you're going to want to be either in the 1 post position and down on the rail, or out here in the 7 path. And as we all know, the 1 is the quickest way around there. Let's go to Mike.
All right, Donna. Kenny McPeak's got 2 horses in here, Java's War and Frack Daddy. Java's War won the Bluegrass, but Kenny tells me he likes Frack Daddy's chances better. Frack Daddy, he says, has been training really well over this track. He thinks he'll prefer the dirt. One problem with Frack Daddy, he gets very nervous and fractious in the paddock. This means he is hard to handle and he expends more energy. So Kenny's going to try something new this afternoon. He's putting earplugs in this horse. When they leave the barn here, he's putting earplugs in the horse. Frack Daddy will wear the earplugs all the way to the starting gate. Let's go to Kenny.
Thanks, Mike. Wayne Lucas, a Hall of Fame trainer, has just about every record possible in the Derby, including most Derby starters. He's won 4 of these races. Only one man has won more. Today, he sends out 2 starters. Oxbow, who will be ridden by the Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, and will take charge. And Lucas, at 77 years old, could set another record today, becoming the oldest trainer to ever win a Kentucky Derby. Both are long shots, but consider this. He's won with a 60-to-1 shot and a 50-to-1 shot. That 50-to-1 shot, by the way, was ridden by Gary Stevens. Let's go to Michelle.
Perfect timing, actually. Now that we've gotten all that homework and heard about all the different horses, I've got Robert Griffin III joining me now. Another first-timer to the Kentucky Derby. So far, is it what you thought it would be?
It's truly amazing how many people come out here to watch these horses run, and just the tradition that it is. And so it's a great experience, and for me, I'm just taking it all in.
If I don't ask, I get fired. The knee, we feeling good?
Knee's feeling great. Everyone saw those jumping jacks that I did at the draft party, so I'm feeling good.
All right, we're getting closer and closer to race time. Who's your pick?
I don't know. It's, everyone has the favorite of Golden Sense, Patino's horse, and then Orb. But, I put a little money, and when I say a little, I mean a little money on Palace Malice.
Palace Malice, $2 bet. Very good. Tom, back to you.
All right, Michelle, I didn't need to bet much on Palace Malice, one of the long shots. And earlier we asked you who you liked at Facebook from around the country. Golden Sense, 20%. Then Revolutionary, It's My Lucky Day. And Orb, only 10% of you think that the morning line favorite will win the Kentucky Derby. And still a lot more to come from Churchill Downs. The rain appears to have stopped. And will we threaten the record books today? Will Rosie be the first female rider to win? Or Stevens, the second oldest in Kentucky Derby history to take the roses? Or perhaps Kevin Krieger will be the first black winning jockey in 110 years. All that still to come.
So it seems that we scarcely left London. Only a few months ago, less than a year from now, we'll be in Sochi for the Winter Games, February of 2014. More immediately on NBC, the 139th running of the Kentucky Derby. It has been 7 years since now 50-year-old Gary Stevens, there he is with Rosie Napravnik, giving him a hug in the portrait photo in the jocks room not that long ago. 7 years since he was in the saddle competitively, but he will ride Oxbow today, breaking from the #2 post in the Kentucky Derby. A few weeks ago in California, I talked with Stevens about his comeback.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby. Here's the winner. It's Thunder Goat. Silver charm by a neck with Gary Stevens.
You've been with us for several years now at NBC. What does Stevens, the analyst, say about Stevens, the jockey, as of today?
Looks better than he did in 2005. He's picking races apart as they're happening, making split-second decisions, and he shouldn't be able to do this at age 50. I attribute that to not feeling the pain.
You've had some horrific injuries. Arlington Million in 2003, aboard storming home, fractured ribs, punctured lung. You said yourself you thought you were going to die. And then you've had chronic knee problems, so it isn't as if you didn't have good reason to step aside.
Thing is, with the knees, they say time heals all. I'm not healed by any means. I tell people that in this sport, we don't have a season. It's year-round. And I need to make it a sport where I take time off.
In the HBO series, Luck, you played Ronnie Jenkins, hard-drinking, hard-living ex-jockey. And you said pretty much you were playing yourself. How much have you had to change in order to get to where you are as we sit here today?
I had to stop being Ronnie Jenkins. I used to rock and roll, man. I could run with the best of them, and at 50 years old, you can't. I didn't want to be a shadow of what Gary Stevens was. I wanted to be as good as Gary Stevens was when he was at his best. I'm good, thank you. I'm all dirty.
I don't care so much.
What's going on? How are you? I'm good. How are you?
You look great. Look at you.
I feel good.
Feel good?
Yeah. I don't like it when somebody says I can't do something. I've been like that since I was a little kid.
I think you get that experience factor, you get smart. He rides smart.
Down the stretch they come. Lucas and Stevens winning colors by a head.
2 of your 3 Derby victories have been aboard D. Wayne Lucas horses. What is it about D. Wayne Lucas that motivates you?
We all call him the coach. He's the coach that can give the motivational speech. I've walked out into the walking ring knowing that I'm not on the best horse. And by the time I leave that paddock, I think the only way that horse can get beat is if I screw it up.
None of these riders riding in their first Derby have run in 20-horse fields, and they haven't had that experience of 160,000 people putting a little pressure on them. Gary won't get caught up in the moment. That's huge.
And here he is, down from 135 to 114 to get into riding shape. Oxbow has the #2 post. After Black Onyx scratched, there's nobody between you and the rail, but Calvin Burrell is immediately to your right. with the number 3 position with Revolutionary. So how do you play it? Because we know he wants to get to the rail.
My horse is a little quicker than his leaving the gate, and I'm going to let him bounce away from there today, opposite of what I did in the Arkansas Derby. I'm going to use the post position to my advantage, and I think Calvin will be happy to follow me around there for a little bit of the ways, hopefully all the way.
When your horse ran 5th in the Arkansas Derby, did you lose any confidence?
No, not at all. If anything, after 24 hours sleep, I think that I built confidence because I went back, reanalyzed the race, and taking him out of his game. If you take the winner out of the race, he was only beaten a length and a head and a nose for second place, and I didn't give him any chance at all. Coming into the stretch, I didn't think I was going to finish anywhere. He almost got up to run second, so if I let him do what he wants today, I've got a lot of faith in Wayne Lucas and Oxbow.
7 years away from competitive racing. Now about an hour away from the Kentucky Derby. How do you feel?
It's America's biggest race, to me, the world's biggest race, and my adrenaline's starting to pump up right now a notch, and it doesn't feel like my first Kentucky Derby, but it feels good.
Good luck, Gary.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, let's go back to Tom.
All right, Bob, and Gary seems to be so happy these days that he is back riding again, and of course when he gets all that slop thrown on him, maybe he's sitting back here again, but are you surprised he's been able to come back after 7 years at age 50 at such a high level?
I was shocked. All I can say is I know I couldn't do it. I'm 5 years older than Gary, but the level that he has come back to after the knee problems and the 7 years off, it's amazing. He looks better to me than he did when he retired. It's a phenomenal story.
All right, so Gary Stevens aboard Oxbow, and he's looking for his 4th Kentucky Derby victory. There's another 3-time winner of the Kentucky Derby, the irrepressible Calvin Burrell.
Street Sense has roared from 19th position to 1st in the Derby. Calvin Burrell has done it again. Calvin Burrell riding that rail to victory once again in the Kentucky Derby.
Tonight there's an all-new Saturday Night Live. Rehearsals, as you see, are underway. Zach Galifianakis hosts for his 3rd time. That's coming your way tonight at 11:30 Eastern on NBC. Something new at the Derby this year is the celebrities arrived. They stopped at the Twitter mirror. So as the celebrities arrived, they made their choices here in the Derby, as you see the different selections throughout the day as the celebrities arrived earlier this afternoon. Bet the Kentucky Derby from home at the official online wagering site of the Kentucky Derby, TwinSpires.com. It's easy to sign up, fund your account, and bet the Derby at TwinSpires.com. And speaking of betting, let's take a look at the current odds with Revolutionary at 5-1. Normandy Invasion is 8-1. Golden Sense at 7. It's My Lucky Day has been picking up some support, now down to 8-1. And there's Golden Sense, the 7-1 shot, trained by Doug O'Neill. Last year, O'Neill called on an unheralded jockey to guide I'll Have Another to victory in the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. This year, he's called on another Kentucky Derby rookie, Kevin Krieger, to get back to the winner's circle.
Happy times, happy feelings I want.
29-year-old jockey Kevin Krieger has arrived after toiling for 12 years at small tracks across the country.
How good am I? I consider myself the best jockey in the world.
When he was 6, Kevin used to skip school to ride horses on the beaches of his native St. Croix.
I've never seen him on a down day. He's always a positive person, just beaming.
He's not cocky or arrogant, but he's very confident.
Ah, this is the best muffin.
He loves to eat muffins. Could you imagine that?
People would say to me, you're always smiling. But when I'm on a horse, I'm always happy, so I have no other choice but to smile, you know?
Any jockey would be smiling if he were sitting on Golden Sense.
Tell these guys you're winning the 2013 Derby.
But it was Journeyman Krieger, the exercise rider, who was picked out of obscurity to ride the horse.
It's Golden Sense in full flight for the wire.
Golden Sense just was exploding underneath me, and this feeling just came over me like, you know, this is it.
Golden Sense and Kevin Krieger have won the Santa Anita Derby.
The first black jockey to reach the winner's circle in the race's 78-year history.
And I was screaming. In the winner's circle with that. Yeah.
He's come out of nowhere. Now he's going to be in the Kentucky Derby.
Win the Kentucky Derby.
Win the Kentucky.
Yes.
Horse racing used to be filled with African-American faces, especially at the Kentucky Derby, where 15 of the first 28 winning jockeys were black. But Jimmy Wink Winkfield was the last, over 110 years ago. History not lost on Kevin Krieger.
It plays an important role. I'm proud that I am black, but what I want to be is a great jockey.
It's good to see the breakthrough of guys that work their tail off in the mornings and finally get a chance.
It just makes me feel proud that there's a black jockey, you know, in the game right now.
A couple of my girlfriends and friends are all coming to support him now also, and they've never been to a racetrack before.
If he wins, it will be something else.
Kevin Krieger is trying to make history at Churchill Downs, but he has one eye on the past as he styles his suit after the jockeys of a century earlier. And another eye on the future as he prepares his family for their first Kentucky Derby.
We've been waiting for this for a long time, so it's finally here.
I'm going to be the African American to win the next Kentucky Derby. It could show people that, you know, it is a sport that invites new faces.
And he has taken the picture of Jimmy Winkfield to Churchill Downs from his base at Santa Anita, and has reminded that Winkfield, the last black jockey to win in 1902. Jerry, how do you assess his abilities?
Well, he's a very capable rider, very good rider, but he's extremely confident. But he's more confident in his horse. He thinks he can do it. He thinks he got the whole race mapped out, but he knows and believes his horse can do this.
That unheralded jockey that won last year on I'll Have Another for Doug O'Neill, of course, was Mario Gutierrez. But before that, Kevin Krieger had been getting on I'll Have Another. Thought he had a chance to get the mount, and wouldn't that have been something if he had? He'd be here looking for his second Derby win in a row, possibly.
Well, he rode earlier on the card here at Churchill Downs and came back covered with mud. He is 0 for his last 40 riding here at Churchill Downs. His last victory here was in 2004. And here are the horses gathering at the gap. Number 12 there is It's My Lucky Day. So soon they will begin their walkover. They're gathering at the gap as we talk. And in the meantime, before they start their trek over, let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, Rosie Napravnik may make some history of her own today aboard My Loot. Now, you had been riding last year's 2-year-old champion, Shanghai Bobby. Then he gets hurt off the Triple Crown Trail. A recent pickup now, My Loot. What have you learned about this horse? This is the first time you'll ride him.
No, actually, I've ridden him at the fairgrounds, and he won very impressively in an allowance race there. And I've also been on him for plenty of his breezes. He's been training excellent. His last race in the Louisiana Derby was very impressive, and he's just moving in the right direction.
You've said that there are still some trainers and some owners who are uncomfortable with a female rider. To what extent is that attitude disappearing, even if it still remains?
You know, I think, you know, in this generation of the female jockeys, you know, we don't have to go through nearly what the pioneering women had to go through. But like I said, now and again, you know, you'll run into a trainer or an owner that just would rather ride a male jockey. And whenever I've had someone tell me that they didn't want to ride me, 90% of the time I've ridden for them and won.
You're the second leading rider this season in wins. So you bring in some momentum here. That's a good feeling, right?
Yeah, we came off of a great year last year and the Breeders' Cup to top it off, and this year's been, you know, really just a very positive year, and we've got a lot of momentum.
In last year's Derby, Pants on Fire, actually a couple years ago, I guess it was, Pants on Fire, you ran 9th. What did you learn from that experience, and will it help you today?
Yeah, you know, just what to expect, more so leading up to it. I mean, I guess you can only ride the race like any other race, you know, other than the fact that there's many more horses. But I got an excellent trip on Pants on Fire, so I'm only hoping to get such a good trip today.
Thanks, Rosie. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, there have been 138 previous winners of the Kentucky Derby. They all have a piece of history, but a few truly stand out, and certainly one won at Churchill Downs 40 years ago. In 1973, Secretariat blazed over this track in a time that 4 decades later still has gone unmatched.
It's Secretariat moving away at the wire. It's going to be Secretariat. He wins it by 2 lengths.
There have been 39 Derby winners since Secretariat, and none have truly challenged the Chestnut Colt's time of 1 minute 59 2/5.
Secretariat just broke the old Kentucky Derby record.
And only one, Monarchos in 2001, broke the 2-minute barrier. DiMaggio's 56, Wilt's 100. Some numbers do stand the test of time. But Secretariat's Derby is a different kind of record, the kind that logically shouldn't have lasted this long. Consider the 100-meter dash. In 1973, the record was just under 10 seconds. Since then, it's been broken 12 times, all the way to Usain Bolt's current mark of 9.58.
Usain Bolt, world record!
Roger Bannister famously broke 4 minutes in the mile in 1954.
A new peak in the history of sport.
The record has come down 18 times since then.
Here he goes for his opening leap.
For a very long time, Bob Beeman's epic leap under ideal conditions at the '68 Mexico City Olympics was thought to be untouchable. And yet, even Beeman's mark was eventually exceeded. The progression of these marks can be attributed, at least in part, to improvements in equipment and training methods. And then there's also the elephant in the room, performance-enhancing drugs, which were an undeniable factor in the rearranging of the all-time home run list. Horse racing certainly hasn't been immune to the impact of performance enhancers, but even with that, and whatever innovations in training and breeding have emerged over the past 4 decades, it still hasn't been enough. Because in the 40 years since an unforgettable horse turned in part 1 of a Triple Crown performance that captivated the nation, his enduring standard has never truly been approached. Today, another field races the 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs, with Secretariat once again invisibly setting a pace that might just be unmatchable.
The 139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands, is brought to you by CenturyLink, Data, Voice, Cloud, Managed Services. By Longines, official timekeeper of the Longines Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And by Yum Brands, proud presenting sponsor of the 139th Kentucky Derby.
Aerial views this weekend brought to you by the Despicablimp. Take your own photos of the blimp and share them online using hashtag Despicablimp and see them posted at despicablimp.com. Go see Despicable Me 2 in the theaters July 3rd. All right, let's look at the current odds for the Kentucky Derby. With the favorite, as he has been all day, Revolutionary, 10-1 on the morning line, now 5-1 on the current odds. In fact, let's scramble them a bit to show you the favorites at the top and the long shots on the bottom. And there's Revolutionary at 5-1, Orb and Golden Sense each at 7-1. Remember, Orb had been the morning line favorites. It's My Lucky Day, Normandy Invasion at 8-1. Verrazano, the unbeaten horse who many thought would be the favorite up until this past week or so, is at 9-1. My Loot and Rosie, 13-1. Overanalyze, Mike Napoleon's 14-1. Palace Malice at 22. And we all go down to the long shots. Charming Kitten at 30-1. And the biggest long shot in the field is Falling Sky at 36-1. What has become one of the greatest spectacles in the world of sports. It used to be just a workmanlike event as the horses and their connections made the way over to the paddock. But now here they leave the backstretch, that's barn area, and with the twin spires in their sights, they walk along the rail, interacting with this huge crowd. And with the rain stop, they've come down to crowd the rails now. And this is such a moment of anticipation and a moment of hope. Each one of these hopes that they'll be hoisting the Derby trophy before the day is done. There's Todd Pletcher. He has 5 chances at it. Let's go to Bob Neumeier.
With Orb's trainer, Shug McGahee, Kentucky guy, never won the Derby. Is there an emotional piece to all this for you, Shug?
I think so. You know, it's
It's void in my career. It's America's premier race, and it's the race I most want to win. I grew up with the Kentucky Derby, and we're just thankful for the opportunity.
Have you been surprised by the groundswell of support from clockers and other trainers for Orb's chances today?
Probably a little bit, especially, some of the other trainers. But they're friends of mine too, and a lot of times we don't compliment each other too much. But, it's been fun. We've had a great 10 days and 2 weeks over here, and we're looking forward to today.
Best of luck.
Thank you, Bob.
This is Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Bob. I'm with Eddie Please with the trainer of It's My Lucky Day. You were here only one other time in 1999 with a filly. Is it a different walk today, Eddie?
It is. Had a couple concerns with her post position, and it was a filly going against the boys.
Today you come in here with a horse who has won on a sloppy track, and it is right now. What does that mean?
It just enhances our chances. I'm really looking forward to this race. I think we have an excellent chance, and I'll be glad when this race is over.
And John Service, your brother-in-law, won this race with Smarty Jones. Has he offered any advice?
He says, don't look back. Just win.
All right, and as far as today, how does this race shape up with the sloppy track, with the competition, and the 12 post?
The 12 post will probably help him. It'll give him a stalking position. There's some speed on the inside, some speed on the outside. I think it's a jockey's race, and I think we're looking forward to a big race.
All right, good luck today. Eddie Please, his second Kentucky Derby, coming in here with It's My Lucky Day. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
All right, Kenny, with Wayne Lucas here in the paddock, and Wayne saddled your first Derby starter in 1981. You've won this race 4 times, second only to Ben Jones. Is the thrill still there?
Oh, yeah, the passion's there. You can't get in this atmosphere and get complacent about it. I think I'm even more into it and more passionate about it now than I was, in 1988 with Winning Colors.
Well, you've got 2 horses in here, Oxbow and Will Take Charge. You're riding the 2 oldest jockeys in the race. What was your reasoning there?
Well, experience is so paramount, and it's so important that you in this race, when they play that old Kentucky home, that they don't fall apart out there if it's their first one. And I always say, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So I'm going to depend on Gary and John to make those decisions that are going to be paramount in getting the job done.
Quickly, who's better in the mud? Which one?
I think Oxbow is a little bit better in the mud. The other horse is 17 hands and long striding, but the Unbridled Songs are supposed to love the mud, so we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Wayne. Let's go to Lafitte Pincott.
Doug O'Neill, another Kentucky Derby, and here with another Santa Anita Derby winner. You won last year with I'll Have Another. Are you as optimistic this time around with Golden Sense?
I'm pumped, but real quick, Lafitte, I got to say hi to a couple people. I got so many people I got to say hi to, but my beautiful mom, Dixie, and Paul and Zilleretta for what happened last year and what they continue to do for us, and we're pumped and we are optimistic.
Your jockey is confident, Kevin Krieger. Real confident. Any concerns about him being too confident before the race of his life?
I don't think so. I think, a field goal kicker at the end of the game or a guy shooting a free throw at the end of the game, you want a guy with confidence, and we keep talking about don't be cocky, don't be arrogant, but you got to have confidence, and it's Kevin's got so much chemistry with this horse, and I love it.
Best of luck, Doug.
Thank you, Lafitte.
Let's go to Donna Brothers.
Well, some veteran Derby trainers before us. I'm walking over with Chad Brown, who has Normandy Invasion, a debut Derby trainer. Chad, you've been very successful in your young career, just training for a few years now, but this is your first Derby. What's it like to walk over under the Twin Spires?
Unbelievable experience. I think we have a good horse here, excited, and hopefully first try we'll get it done.
Is this experience everything that you've kind of imagined it might be?
It has been. It's been great here. Just hoping I can get it done here.
Normandy Invasion has never raced over a sloppy racetrack. Has he ever trained over a sloppy racetrack?
No, I haven't trained him much on it. Haven't had the opportunity. His breeding's decent for the mud. He's just a horse that's doing so good right now. I think he'll run on anything.
They were talking earlier about the confidence of jockeys. Your jockey, Javier Castellano, had a choice between Revolutionary and Normandy Invasion. Did you feel pretty good about your horse once he'd made the decision to ride your horse?
Yeah, we were really relieved. I think he gets along with this horse really well. And me and Javier are a great combo, so, hopefully.
Will you even give him any instructions?
No, I won't. The only thing we worked on with this horse is warming him up and a little stuff around the starting gate, but the race is up to him.
Let's go to Bob Neumeier. Thanks, Chad.
Well, we are already in the paddock because Todd Pletcher has 5 horses he has to saddle. Todd, is this the strongest field of runners you've saddled in your career?
I think top to bottom it is. You know, we've been fortunate to have some pretty good ones here before, but this is probably the depth of it's the strongest.
You have 5 owners here that made this walk with you. All of them desperately want to win this race. How do you balance it all out?
Well, we just do the best we can with each one and hope for the best. Hopefully one of them is happy after the race.
All right, go saddle 5 horses for Todd Pletcher. Here's Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Bob. Kenny McPeak is saddling 2 horses today, Java's War and Frack Daddy. First off, about Java's War, the Bluegrass Stakes winner. How's he trained coming into this?
He's done everything right. We made a little last-minute adjustment. He runs in a shadow roll, and with all the mud, took it off. He's going to run in a regular drop nose band because the mud just carries too much around there.
So you're going to be covering him up a little bit there. And Frack Daddy, he has actually finished second in the mud. He'll have the earplugs in today. We heard Mike Battaglia's report earlier.
Well, this crowd coming over, maybe we needed the earplugs too, but it's exciting. We just wanted to make sure he stayed calm, and he seems to be handling everything like a pro, and he's schooled really well all week.
All right, good luck, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Tom.
All right, Kenny, and Kenny McPeak just talking about how exciting it is for all as you walk over. And you could hear the swell of noise from the crowd as their favorite horse walked in front of them on the way to the paddock. Let's go to Bob.
All right, Tom. John Velasquez will be aboard Verrazano. You won the Wood Memorial with Verrazano. Then right after that, you suffer an injury, broken rib, cracked a bone in your wrist. When they're taking you away in the ambulance with, at that point, the Derby less than a month away, what are you thinking?
To tell you the truth, I wasn't even thinking about anything. What I was thinking about was how bad I was injured, though. You know, once I got to the hospital and I kind of started moving, I kind of knew that I was hurt. And at the beginning, I thought actually I hurt my collarbone, and actually it was my first rib where it feels basically was like in the shoulder. But after that, you know, after I had the X-rays and everything and talked to the doctors, I was pretty confident that it wasn't as bad as I thought.
You had won a couple of races with Orb, and you decided to ride Verrazano. Any second guessing, and does your knowledge of Orb help you in any way in this race?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a Derby, so I have to concentrate on another 19 horses in the race, or 18 if you will. So I have to play the game on my own horse and try to make the race on my horse and do the best for him. I definitely think that he's a very dangerous horse in the race, and then so does all the horses in the race, so I have to concentrate more about what I'm going to do with my horse.
Todd Pletcher says he's happy with the 14th post for Verrazano. Why does that shape up well for this horse?
Well, the main thing is I think we have to break well. We have to get a good position going to the first turn and get a position where he's comfortable without sweeping up of his feet and get a nice post position going to that first turn. Once we get there and I see how he's handled the track, and hopefully he can do the same things he's done in the past, and when I ask him, he's there for me and winning the Derby.
Good luck today, John.
Thank you.
Again to Tom.
All right, Bob, as the fans line the rail at the paddock, looking at their favorite horses, and soon they'll have the saddle applied, the jockeys will come down, and the Derby will approach. And it is indeed anyone's race as the crowd enjoys a look at the horses in the paddock. And let's take a look at the favorites for some of the celebrities we polled about the winner of the Kentucky Derby.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here, getting ready to root parts mouthwash.
How could you not want a horse named Charming Kitten to win?
You're damn right.
For you, I choose Will Take Charge. I think you know why.
I think I'm going to go with It's My Lucky Day.
I'm Emmitt Smith, and my pick is Will Take Charge.
Let me tell you something. You were very lucky that there was no horse named Out of the Will.
Because I'm shaped like one, I'm going with Orb.
That's Orb.
Orb.
It's My Lucky Day, because it's my lucky day.
I'm picking Orb.
Perfect. I think a real one tastes a little more pleasing than that. And as we look at the attendance at the 139th Kentucky Derby, 151,616. Despite the elements, over 151,000. That is the 9th largest crowd ever at the Kentucky Derby. And that is pretty much a testament to the drawing power of this event, despite the rain all day long, although it has stopped at the moment. As we see the odds, Revolutionary still the favorite. Orb and Golden Sense still at 7. It's My Lucky Day and Normandy Invasion at 8. Verrazano is 9. The rest are double digits. As we go down to our handicappers with a little assist from Michelle.
And she's a Kentucky Derby rookie.
Yeah.
Next year, you're doing the walkover with us, whether you like it or not.
As long as it's sunny and 75, I'm in.
It's not the way it works around
I know, I'm learning that.
All right, who do you like?
Well, you know, despite sharing a moment just now with Lines of Battle, he has a bit of a crazy eye. I know he's a 32-to-1 favorite, not really. I'm going to go It's My Lucky Day. I've watched the odds change on it from everyone I've talked to. He performs well in these wet, sloppy conditions, and I've had to learn something while I've been here, right? So I'm going to go with my lucky
He
day.
has been bet down. He's now 8-1, so he's a hot horse right now, no doubt.
And I like Orb. The slop, it's a question mark with Orb, I think, but I'm really surprised he's not the favorite. He's up there at 7-to-1. I think that's a good price on Orb. He's done everything. Very scared of Revolutionary on this sloppy track. We saw Donna's report how good the rail was on the inside, and you know Calvin's going to be right there. Really scares me, but I'm sticking to my guns and going for Orb, Bob.
And I have sleepless nights when I think about making your pick my selection, Mike Battaglia.
I know.
But I'm doing it this time. For one reason.
Green. Come on.
Orb beat your horse in the Florida Derby, who was the fastest 3-year-old this year. It's My Lucky Day. For that reason only, Orb is my selection for this year's Kentucky
Don't believe in
Derby.
revenge, huh, Neumeier?
It's Tom.
All right, so Bob and Mike take Orb, and It's My Lucky Day for Michelle. You know, Orb was schooling in the paddock, as they say, where they get him familiar with the surroundings earlier this week, and he didn't like it much. He kicked the wall of his stall, but as we looked at him a couple of times in the paddock now, seems to be behaving pretty well as Shug McGahee puts the saddle on Orb. So two of our handicappers pick Orb. How do you think the race will play out today?
We have a simulation. Should we let the jockey go first?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
We actually kind of agree on this.
Amazingly.
But as they break from the gate and they head into the first turn, I think it's just a given that Golden Sense on the inside and Falling Sky will probably set the pace with Johnny Velasquez on the outside and Verrazano stalking as they go into the first
And look, they're running on mud. Is this graphic excellence or what? You got Orb in mid-pack. We actually sent a tape of this to the jockeys room. We'll see if they and the horses cooperate. Revolutionary Normandy Invasion back in the back.
And Calvin is right
way
next
back.
to the rail where he's supposed to be. I saw him pull a goggle down there. And as they go down the backside, they probably won't change a whole lot into the far turn. Golden Sense will probably have taken over the lead. Falling Sky goes back. Verrazano picks him up a little bit. Overanalyze comes in, and It's My Lucky Day's in a perfect spot on the fence.
Watch the horse in the white silks, Orb. He is moving like a tremendous machine at this point. Now, homage to Dave Johnson. And down the stretch they come.
As they straighten up, it's Golden Sense and Verrazano head and head. But Golden Sense, I think, is starting to weaken from the early pressure. Orb on the outside is coming, and who's that on the rail?
That would be Calvin.
It's My Lucky Day.
Oh, that would be It's My Lucky Day. Calvin's behind it.
It's My Lucky Day poking his head in front, but Calvin is coming on, and Orb on the outside. I think Orb ekes it out, starts stretching it out as they approach the wire.
This is a game of odds. The odds are huge that Jerry and I would have exactly the same exacta, but we do. Orb, and It's My Lucky Day.
I'll give you a sure thing. Orb silks will not be that white, but because
absolutely.
even if he comes out in front, because he runs the back of the pack, as our guys worked the late Chick Anderson and Dave Johnson's calls into their simulation. And from what we can tell so far, everyone seems to be pretty well behaved. Vijay acted up a little bit as he went into the paddock.
That's correct. He's got a history of maybe being a little misbehaving. He was a little touchy walking in the tunnel. Orb was a little touchy, but everybody seems at this point, once the saddle's on, to be settled right down.
And how about the odds on Verrazano? For people who follow the NFL and the draft, he's like the Geno Smith of the Derby field. He would have been the cinch favorite 3 weeks ago. Mike Battaglia agonized when he dropped him to the second spot on the morning line, and now he's the 6th betting favorite right now. He's undefeated, and yet he is plummeting in support.
Verrazano at 9-1 as Todd Pletcher with his own personal ballet, the saddling 5 horses in the paddock, one of them being Verrazano.
139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands, is brought to you by Ram, the official truck of the Kentucky Derby. Guts, glory, Ram. By Scottrade. See for yourself why investors are saying, I'm with Scottrade. By Stella Artois. She is a thing of beauty. And by Yum Brands, proud presenting sponsor of the 139th Kentucky Derby.
Well, the jockeys, there's Mike Smith coming out now. They used to just come right down and go to the paddock, but it's kind of a new route for them here as they've done some remodeling at Churchill Downs, and they'll be going out among the fans. You see them there passing and high-fiving as they go along the way, heading to the paddock to meet their mounts for the Derby. So let's meet the jockeys of the 139th Kentucky Derby, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
Gary Stevens, Oxbow. Calvin Borrell, Revolutionary.
Robbie Alvarado, Golden Soul.
Javier Castellano, Norme Invasion.
Rosie Napravnik, My Loot.
Jose Espinosa, Jan Fenesis.
Kevin Krieger, Golden Sense.
Rafael Bejarano, Overanalyze.
Mike Smith, Palace Malice.
Ryan Moore, Lines of Battle. Elvis Trujillo is My Lucky Day.
Luis Saez, Fallen Sky.
John Velazquez, Verrazano.
Edgar Prado, Charming Kitty.
Joel Rosario, Orb.
John Court, Will Take Charge.
Victor Lebrun,
Frag Daddy. Julien Lepaou, Chavez War.
Garrett Gomez,
Vijack.
That was our Mercedes-Benz jockey introductions for the 139th Kentucky Derby. And there you see the jockeys have made their way into the paddock. And the trainers will give them their final instructions as we go to Lafitte Benkai.
All right, Tom, if you would have asked anyone last summer who Todd Pletcher's best early Derby prospect was, they would not have said Verrazano, they wouldn't have said Revolutionary, or even Shanghai Bobby. They would have said Palace Malice. Now he arrives as a 23-to long shot for a reason. He's only won one race, but keep in mind, he's starting to improve. He just ran second in the Bluegrass Stakes, and he's never run on a wet track. If he happens to take to it the way his father or sire did years ago, look out. Remember, Curlin won the 2007 Breeders' Cup Classic on a track just like this. Let's go to Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Lafitte. If you'd asked trainer Dallas Stewart, about 7 days ago, would he be here, he would have said no. But two defections from the entries this week, and Golden Soul, a 30-to-1 plus shot right now, is in this field. Dallas Stewart did say this. He's pulled the biggest upset in Kentucky Oaks history, so as he's told me, why not try the Derby once again? And Falling Sky for trainer John Terranova. 3 weeks ago, it wasn't certain that he would be here. He was pointed to the Bluegrass Stakes, but they decided not to run him on a synthetic track. They took him instead to Arkansas to see how he would do one more time in the dirt. He finished fourth. That was good enough to bring him a ticket here to Louisville today. Both of them long shots. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
All right, Kenny. Giant Finish is trained by Tony Dutrow. Of course, his brother Rick saddled Big Brown to win this race in 2008. And originally, Tony said he would support the owner's decision to run here, but he wasn't going to come to saddle him. He eventually said that he would. He's not here. I just went and talked to his wife. She said that he wanted to be here, but he couldn't get the connection from California. So Giant Finish will be saddled by his assistant, Ray Handel. Tom?
All right, Mike. There's Giant Finish at 36-to-1. And we come back to Churchill Downs in the 139th Kentucky Derby broadcast. We'll hear the command of Riders Up.
Race fans, please welcome University of Louisville football team head coach Charlie Strong for the Riders Up call for the 139th consecutive running of the Kentucky Derby.
Ladies and gentlemen, the city of Louisville, the state of Kentucky, and the entire world has waited a year for this special moment. Riders Up!
That's the most spirited Riders Up we've had.
Yeah, that's good.
He's fired up too, isn't he? And there's Gary Stevens. A year ago, he was sitting next to me. Now he's sitting aboard Oxbow as he heads to the racetrack. So far, it's been a picture of serenity in the paddock. First time these horses have seen anything resembling this, as Rosie gets a leg up on Milut.
When you see the walkover and the paddock scene with all those people, no news is good news at this point.
You know, we talk so much about how are they acting in the paddock. They've never been around this amount of people in their life, and when the jockeys and horses go through the tunnel, the roar that they will hear, the wall of noise that we call it as a rider, might unnerve some of these horses, so don't be surprised to see a few of them acting up going onto the track.
There goes Falling Sky and Luis Saez. And as the horses continue in the tunnel, coming up, we'll have the call to the post and then one of the signature scenes of the Kentucky Derby, that special sentimental moment, the playing of My Old Kentucky Home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the management, staff and horsemen of Churchill Downs proudly present the 139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands. Please rise as the University of Louisville Marching Band plays My Old Kentucky Home.
So here are the horses for the Kentucky Derby. Black Onyx, the one was scratched. Number 2, Oxbow. Great historical aspects here. Stevens at 50 looks for his 4th Derby win. Lucas his 5th, and Calumet its 7th, though this is the latest incarnation under Brad Kelly. 3 is Revolutionary. Calvin Burrell, Todd Pletcher, and Windstar Farm teamed up to win the Derby with Super Saver in 2010. Experienced at overcoming trouble in a race, always important in the Derby. He's won 3 in a row. Number 4 is Golden Soul. Jockey Brian Hernandez got his biggest win on his 27th birthday, last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Golden Soul, like Java's War, owned by Canadian geologist and diamond miner Charles 50. 5 is Normandy Invasion, the Derby debut for up-and-coming trainer Chad Brown, owned by Rick Porter, who twice has been Derby runner-up with Hard Spun and the ill-fated 8 Bells. Number 6 is Milut, as Rosie goes for the history books. The only other time she rode this horse, he won by 10, beaten the neck by Revolutionary in the Louisiana Derby. Number 7 is Giant Finish, the last horse in the field with 10 Derby points. He ran 3rd in the Spiral Stakes at Turfway. Number 8 is Golden Sense, named for a website of majority owners Sorgenstein and Kaplan, who are in the coin and precious metals business. Doug O'Neill tries to duplicate last year's magic with a first-time Derby jockey. Number 9, Overanalyzed, named for a business practice of owner Mike Rapoli. His only other Derby starter was Stay Thirsty, who was 12th in 2011, the same year his Uncle Mo was scratched due to illness. Number 10, Palace Malice. Cott Campbell was a pioneer in racehorse partnerships with Dogwood Stable. He's retiring at age 84 as Mike Smith rides this colt for the first time. 11, Lines of Battle, the international horse, bred in Kentucky, trained in Ireland. He's raced in 4 different countries, including Dubai, where he won the UAE Derby. No European invader has ever won the Roses. Number 12, It's My Lucky Day, the most experienced in the field. This is race 11. He was the hot horse in early winter, then was runner-up to Orb in the Florida Derby. 13, Falling Sky, often the pace setter, but he faded to 4th in the Arkansas Derby. Trainer John Terranova, a Derby rookie, and first-time trainers have won 7 times since 2000. 14 is Verrazano. Giovanni Verrazano was an Italian explorer who in the 1500s explored what is now New York Harbor, and the bridge that spans the entrance to the harbor is named for him. This horse tries to become the 8th undefeated winner of the Derby, but he didn't race at 2, and the last time the winner has not raced at 2, 1882. 15, Charming Kitten, Ken and Sarah Ramsey, the all-time leading owners at Churchill Downs. This colt 3rd in the Bluegrass. It's his first race on dirt. 16 is Orb, only the 7th Derby starter for Hall of Famer Shug McGahee, who has never won. The last 5 generations of Orb's female bloodlines from horses owned by first cousins, Janny and Phipps. Orb, by the way, got his name because he's a son of Malibu Moon. 17, Will Take Charge, a Lucas trainee who won the Rebel Stakes 7 weeks ago. It would be the longest layoff ever for a Derby winner. He is the most expensive purchase in the field, $425,000. 18 is Frack Daddy. The owners are in oil and gas. The sire is Scat Daddy, hence the name. Trainer Ken McPeak also owns a horse racing app. 19 is Java's War, also trained by McPeak, the smallest horse in the field. He walked out of the gate in the Bluegrass Stakes, but under a patient ride from Julien Laperoux, made a furious run from last to win by a neck. And number 20 is Vijak, who suffered his first career defeat when 3rd in the Wood Memorial. This is his first race away from Aqueduct, and no horse in modern times has won the Derby, having raced at only 1 track. And that's the field for the 139th Kentucky Derby. Joel Rosario has been a hot jockey, and he rides Orb in the Kentucky Derby today. Kevin Krieger trying to be the first African-American to win the Derby in 110 years. Rosie Napravnik, she would be the first female jockey to ever win the Kentucky Derby. Gary Stevens would be the 2nd oldest if he could take the roses today. And Calvin Burrell looks for his 4th victory in the Kentucky Derby.
At Churchill Downs, everything's been building towards one race. A 1.25 mile test that will finish under the famous Twin Spires and crown another Kentucky Derby champion. 50-year-old Gary Stevens has won this race 3 times. 77-year-old Dwayne Lucas 4 times. Together, they're hoping Oxbow has a winning ride today. Kentucky native Shug McGahee is already in the Hall of Fame, but he's never won the Derby.
And Orb has run by.
With Orb, he has one of this year's favorites. Doug O'Neill got his first Derby win last year with I'll Have Another. Another chance comes with Golden Sense.
It's Golden Sense in full flight.
Atop that horse, Kevin Krieger is riding to become the first African-American jockey to win the Derby in more than a century.
It is Rosie Napravnik.
Aboard My Loot, Rosie Napravnik is riding to be the first female jockey to ever win. And then there are Todd Pletcher's 5 contenders in the field.
And it will be Verrazano.
Headlined by the undefeated Verrazano. They're about to take to the starting gate at Churchill Downs. Which one will be crowned the 139th Kentucky Derby champion?
Well, with the Derby now just minutes away, for the first time we're able to discard the umbrella, which will make the viewing circumstances better for the 150,000 or so here today, even though it won't improve the track conditions. Tom Hammond is among those looking on as the race approaches. Again, here's Tom.
All right, Bob, thank you. And we have Some breaking news here as the late money has come in on Orb. We now have co-favorites. Orb and Revolutionary are co-favorites now at 6-1. Golden Sense at 7. It's My Lucky Day and Normandy Invasion along with Verrazano at 8. And then the rest are double digits. The highest favorite odds ever in the Kentucky Derby were 6-1. Looking at Lucky and Harlan's Holiday, we're on that pace right now. So Revolutionary has been the favorite all day long. Now is co-favorite with Orb. How's he look in the warm-up?
Well, he looks good. I mean, I think he got a lot of money yesterday because it was Kentucky money. It was Oaks Day, and Kentuckians love Calvin Borel. Today, I think people are looking at his form, at his pedigree, and at his one off-track race on a less wet track. It was sensational.
And speaking with Calvin earlier this week, his concern wasn't that he wouldn't run inside horses. His concern was would he leave the starting gate with the rest of the pack. He didn't do that in Louisiana, and you can ill afford to give up 3 or 4 easy links early in the race in the Derby.
So Orb, who was the morning line favorite, has seen the late money come in. He is the co-favorite.
He has no form to which to tell if he likes the mud, but his action and his breeding suggest he would. He looks a picture, and he's so much blossomed since he left Florida here. He's the best looking horse I've seen all week.
Every race he's been running has been getting better and better and better, and he's looked here in Kentucky like he's got more improvement left in him. And again, he's a mid-pack kind of horse, so they'll try to steer him out of all that muddy kickback as much as they can.
And the unbeaten horse, Verrazano.
Well, he's got great tactical speed. His break from the starting gate might be better than any horse in the field if he performs the way he has been performing. He's extremely quick with that first jump, and that's going to give John Velasquez some tactical advantages as to where he wants to be.
He will lose some ground, but he will keep him in the clear, and he'll avoid the holes that open and close so quickly. Horses that have to navigate through this field like Normandy Invasion and Revolutionary. The difference between the Derby and other races is the Derby has so many layers of holes that somebody has to get through if they come from behind. And if they don't have quick acceleration by their horse, the hole closes before they can get there.
And Golden Sense.
Well, Golden Sense and Kevin Krieger, I mean, what a story. Doug O'Neill, Kevin Krieger, Rick Pitino, and this is a horse with a lot of early speed. They tried to harness it at the Santa Anita Derby and sit him just off the pace. He was still very aggressive. Because of the post position draw inside the other speed, I think he's going to the lead.
I agree with that. The question is, will he get a breather anywhere through this race after the pursuer Falling Sky likely would fall off down the backside? Will Verrazano pick up the chase, and then will It's My Lucky Day or horses similar to that keep the pressure on Golden Sense throughout the race?
We can all make this sound so logical, Tom. And then the starting gate opens,
right.
And sometimes all heck breaks loose.
That's right. Well, out on horseback, watching the horses warm up has been Donna Brothers. Donna, what have you noticed?
Well, you know, for some of these horses acting badly when they were walking into the paddock and in the paddock, they've all been pretty good in the post parade, with the exception of Vijak. When he went through the narrow opening between the rail and the starting gate as they headed from the post parade out into their warm-ups, he kicked the inside fence with his hind right foot, and he kicked it pretty hard. I'm looking at him right now, and it doesn't look like he's any worse for the wear, but he was pretty wound up. He has settled down, so that's good news for Vijak. The 17 will take charge, however. I'm pretty sure he's left his race on the racetrack, Tom, but he was already a long shot coming into the race.
So there's a look at Will Take Charge, the 34-1 shot, who has been pretty antsy.
Yeah, by left his race on the racetrack, that's what Donna's talking about. I mean, he's just expending too much energy before the race even begins.
Starting to load into the gate now as My Loot and Rosie Napravnik go in at the same time as Verrazano. Todd Pletcher watches. Shug McGahee in the Hall of Fame. Wayne Lucas, another Hall of Famer. He's won the Derby. Shug has not. There's Mike Rapoli's horse. Overanalyze. And Orb in the Janney colors. The Dogwood Stable colors aboard Mike Smith and Palace Malice. Will Take Charge. The oldest jockey in the race, John Court, 52 years old aboard. Doug O'Neill watching with Golden Sense. It's the 139th running of the Kentucky Derby. The purse is $2 million. The distance is 1.25 miles. It's for 3-year-olds, all of whom carry 126 pounds. And for the call of the Derby, let's go to Larry Collmus.
Thank you very much, Tom Hammond. And there's just one more to go in, and that is Vijack with Garrett Gomez about to take up position in the outside stall. 19 3-year-olds at 1.25 miles. And Vijack is in, and they're all in line. We are ready for the start. They're off in the Kentucky Derby. Java's War was off to a slow beginning. A good start for Verrazano and Falling Sky. Falling Sky is the early leader. And now It's My Lucky Day. And coming through on the inside is Golden Sense. And Palace Malice is right up there, too, in the early mix as well. Then it's Oxbow to the inside. Vijack is on the far outside. In behind them comes Longshot Giant Finish. Frank Daddy Extreme outside. Then Will Take Charge. Normandy Invasion rides the rail as they begin that wild scurry into that first turn. And then it's a length farther back to overanalyze. Lines of Battle is right there to the outside of horses Golden Soul. And then comes Orb, who is third last as they make their way to the backstretch, ahead of My Lute and Rosie Napravnik. Revolutionary and Calvin Burrell are on the rail in slow starting Java's War. A 45.5 mile, an extremely fast pace set by Palace Malice and Mike Smith, who lead the way up the backstretch. And an unexpected early leader here is Palace Malice. Verrazano is 3 lengths behind, running in second. Vijack, Oxbow, and Gary Stevens are on the rail. And Kevin Krieger has Golden Sense off the pace today. He's fifth as they move for the far turn. The Normandy Invasion, followed by It's My Lucky Day. Down toward the inside is Charming Kitten. After that comes Giant Finish. Nothing yet from Orb. He's still about 15th, but he begins to move up on the far outside. Palace Malice is the leader. He's set a torrid pace so far, and the pack is catching up quickly. Through on the inside is Oxbow, and Normandy Invasion is storming home, and they're into the stretch, and Normandy Invasion has taken the lead on the outside. Orb is coming with giant strides in the center of the track. And here comes Orb on the outside now to take the lead as they come down to the 16th pole. It is Orb in front from Normandy Invasion, My Lute, and Golden Soul between horses down to the wire. Orb has won the Kentucky Derby for Shug McGahee. It was Golden Soul. Revolutionary came late on the inside, and then it was Normandy Invasion, and it was Orb today in the Derby. His final time was 2 minutes 2.89 seconds.
And congratulations to Joel Rosario, who guided Orb to victory. And you saw the acclaim for Shug McGahee, the Hall of Fame trainer, who finally gets his Kentucky Derby win. He had won everything else. He always says he lets the horse tell him if he's going to come to the Derby instead of forcing a horse to the Derby. Very patient. He waited patiently for his first Derby win, and now his career is complete. Lexington, Kentucky native who grew up around the Kentucky Derby, grew up following it, and now Shug McGahee is Kentucky Derby winning trainer. And for the Jannies and the Phippses, two of the scions of American racing, the bloodlines they've nurtured over all these years have paid off in the form of Orb, the first Kentucky Derby winner for all. Orb, Longshot Golden Soul, Revolutionary, and Normandy Invasion.
And what a beautiful ride for the hottest young jockey in America, Joel Rosario. The game plan coming in had been for Orb to be mid-pack, maybe a little closer, but the pace was torrid. The first 6 furlongs, 1:09 and 4/5 seconds. So as a result, Rosario placed Orb way back in the pack, almost next to last at one point. And I think that's ultimately what won Orb the race, besides the fact that he was the best horse.
Oh, I totally agree. When the gates open, it's all about adjustment. And Orb back early at the top of the stretch circles the field, and Joel Rosario knew at this point that he had dead aim on the leader, Normandy Invasion. I'm sure he wasn't sure that he had anybody coming from behind him, but he knew he had the leaders. All he has to do is keep Orb, who's struggling here. He's tired. They're all tired at this point in the race. Keep him straight, keep him together. Joel Rosario is one of the strongest young riders since Lafitte Pincay, and boy, does he keep him together entering the stretch. What a year for Joel Rosario. He won the $10 million Dubai World Cup. He wins the Kentucky Derby. He rode this horse in the first 5 races of his career. What a reunion.
And what disappointment also for Johnny Velasquez, who had a choice to ride Verrazano or Orb. He chose to ride Verrazano, and he watches from back in the pack Rosario win it.
Covered with dirt, Joel Rosario doesn't mind a bit, and he is alongside Donna.
Joel Rosario covered with dirt. His horse's head is covered with mud. Joel, what a roll you're on. You won the $10 million Dubai World Cup in March. You just were leading rider at Keeneland, and now you win your first Kentucky Derby. What's this mean to you?
Oh my God, this is awesome, you know. I win the $10 million Dubai World Cup, and to win the Derby now, it's like more than a dream.
It is like a dream come true. Did you ever imagine that it would feel like it feels?
Well, you know, I'm just so happy now, and you know, thank Shug Miguel, you know, I'm so happy for him, you know, now.
Giving Shug his first Derby win too.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, I feel awesome, you know what I mean? And this guy today was so hang, you know, so I was so far behind it, you know, and I just let him be calm and let him be relaxed, and he was available to do it all, so.
So he was relaxed the entire time just waiting for you?
I'm sorry, what's that?
He was relaxed the entire time just waiting for you to ask him?
Yes, he was very relaxed. That's exactly what I wanted, you know, because he can get in the toss on time, and you know, he's the man now.
Did you have a perfect trip? Did you ever run into any trouble?
Perfect trip. I was staying the outside. I don't want to be too wide, you know, in the first turn, and you know, hoping somebody, you know, tried to push me, you know, in the middle of the middle of the 2.5 mile and push me wide, and that was perfect.
Well done, Joel. Tom Hammond, Joel Rosario on quite a roll.
Well, athletes get in that zone. He's in one, and so is Orb, who's not too tired to keep from bucking around a little bit as he comes back to the winner's circle. Orb's in a roll too. 5 straight wins for Orb. The 5th, the most important, the Kentucky Derby. Let's go to Kenny Rice.
All right, thank you, Tom. I'm with the winner, Shug McGahee, a native of Lexington, Kentucky. You've been based in New York, but you're Kentuckian. I asked you before the race, what would it mean? Now that it's happened, what does it mean?
It means everything to me. You know, I'd always dreamed of this day, and it finally came.
And as far as the relationship with the Janney family and the Phipps family, they also get their first Derby.
Well, you're right, you know, and I'm thrilled to death for them. I'm thrilled to death for the people that have put so much time into this horse. Of course, I'm thrilled for me.
You said coming in that you felt good about this as the race was unfolding. When did you start feeling really good that you were going to get those roses?
Around the quarter pole, and then when they left the 8th pole, you know, he's got a little tendency to try to pull himself up, and Joel did a good job of kind of riding him out where he could see that horse that was coming, and, you know, then about the 16th pole, it looked like we had it done.
When did you think this horse could win the Kentucky Derby? What time this year?
Florida Derby. Never before that. I mean, I dreamed of it, but not till the Florida Derby.
And now a lot of people are saying congratulations, and you know, a lot of people were rooting for you on the backside, a lot of fellow trainers. What does that mean?
That means a lot. I appreciate it very much too.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ken.
Shug McGahee, Hall of Fame trainer, Tom, and as you know, he's been waiting a long time to smell those roses.
And fighting back tears as he spoke to you, Kenny. An indication of how much it means to him and to the Phipps and Janneys, as we said, have been such great names in American thoroughbred racing. And to the Claiborne Farm, over 100 years old, where the Janneys and the Phipps keep their bloodstock and have for generations. And here are the payoffs. Orr paying $12.80 to win the Kentucky Derby. Golden Soul, the long shot, paid $38 to place. Revolutionary was 3rd. The $2 exacta paid $981. The dollar trifecta was worth $3,400, and the dollar superfecta $28,500. As Normandy Invasion completing the list there. Orb is the champion of the 139th Kentucky Derby. Joel Rosario, Shug McGahee, Stuart Janney, Denny Phipps. Congratulations all around for the old school approach to thoroughbred racing. the Minions flying the Despicablimp. Their live coverage gives everyone access to the best views of today's race. Follow Despicablimp online at despicablimp.com and go to see Despicable Me 2 in theaters July 3rd. Well, Rosario and Orb heading to the winner's circle after winning the Kentucky Derby. Chuck McGahee helping to lead him in, and here come the garland of roses across the withers of the Kentucky Derby winner, Orb. All right, let's take a look at Orb and how the race began.
Well, as they break from the gate, Orb settles unusually further back than at least I thought he would. But the biggest reason that he is so far back early, he was 15th in this pack, is because these horses were on their way to the fourth fastest first half, and first three quarters in Derby history. So Joel Rosario, since the fast pace, put Orb back where he wasn't getting bumped around and where he could save some horse, as these front runners were surely to come back through the latter stages of the race. Again, he's not in any trouble, he's not losing much ground, and he's in a perfect spot relative to how fast they're going up front, which very few expected. As they turn for home, at least as they make the bend and turn for home, Joel's already picking off horses. He has to go a little wide here, about 6 wide, but it's okay because he saved a lot of ground in the first turn. Now they straighten up, and he takes dead aim on these horses in the middle of the stretch. Palace Mouse is up there, Oxbow's on the front rail. But Joel Rosario on Orb has calculated his move perfectly, has saved quite enough horse for a long stretch drive. What a decision-making process for him.
And if you look back from behind, Golden Soul and Revolutionary both had rail-running trips all the way around. Orb was about 6 horses wide all the way around the second turn. Much the best of those.
As we did predict, Verrazano was stalking the pace in an outward position in the clear with Johnny Velasquez. He had no answer when John asked the question turning for home. He had no repulse when Orb came by. He was done at the top of the stretch.
And that was probably a result of being too close to a radioactive early pace. The top 4 finishers all came from well back in the pack. 4th place, Normandy Invasion. The top 5, My Luke, the 5th place finisher, also rallied from far behind. Any of the horses close to the pace. As you see, Palace Malice backing up alongside Verrazano, had absolutely no chance the way this race was run.
Golden Sense was in a position he had never been in before, having been outrun so much by Palace Malice early in the race. Kevin Krieger imploring him to run as he hit the top of the stretch, but he was finished far before this. Struggles home way back in the pack today.
Yeah, he is stopping to a walk right there. Not the way Kevin Krieger, the confident Kevin Krieger, had envisioned it. And you see he's basically just pulling up Golden Sense right here before the horses even get to the last 16th of a mile.
Joel Rosario on Orb won this Kentucky Derby by knowing how fast they were going early in the race, putting him back in the pack, saving some ground, had enough left for the finish.
And by sitting on top of a Cadillac.
And Orb, the question of whether he could handle a sloppy track, answered in resounding fashion. Orb is a Malibu Moon colt out of Lady Liberty by Unbridled, bred by the owners, Janney and Phipps. Here's your complete order of finish. Orb, Golden Soul, Revolutionary, and Normandy Invasion make up the superfecta. Then My Loot, Oxbow, so Rosie and Gary Stevens finishing right one behind the other. In lines of battle will take charge Charming Kitten. Giant Finish in the middle of the pack. Overanalyze, Palace Malice, the early pace setter. Java's War, who broke so poorly as is his custom. Verrazano, who faded as you've documented. It's My Lucky Day, who got a lot of late money, and money during the middle of the day, didn't do anything at all. Then Crack Daddy, Golden Sense, Vijack, Falling Sky, were the complete order of finish. Falling Sky finishing last.
And of Todd Pletcher's celebrated quintet, he gets a 3rd place finish with Revolutionary.
There he is, the hero of the moment, Orb, piloted by Joel Rosario. Resounding winners of the 139th running of the Kentucky Derby.
The 139th running of the Kentucky Derby, presented by Yum Brands, is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Experience truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer. By Walmart, delivering for customers, creating opportunity. That's the real Walmart. And by Yum Brands, proud presenting sponsor of the 139th Kentucky Derby.
The NBC Sports Group continues to bring you unprecedented coverage of the 139th Kentucky Derby. We'll stick around to wrap things up from Churchill Downs with the Kentucky Derby post-race show coming up next on the NBC Sports Network. Now for the trophy presentation, let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Tom, the chairman and CEO of Churchill Downs, Bob Evans, is here, as is the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Steve Beshear, who will make the presentation of the trophy to the co-owners, Stuart Janney and Denny Phipps.
Bob, there's a lot of great horse races in the world, but the Kentucky Derby is absolutely the greatest right here in the horse capital, the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And we got a great trainer in Shug McGahee, and we got great owners in Stuart and Denny, but we got a great jockey, most of all a great horse, Orb. Congratulations. Congratulations. We appreciate it.
Stuart, only because you're closest to me, you go first.
Well, I think this is a time to reflect on how lucky we are to have a terrific trainer who has done everything the right way with this horse, and we are very, very grateful. And some people said, well, maybe his time has come. I certainly hoped it had, and it did.
Denny?
Oh, I think that's so right. And we've got Jan Patterson, who rides this horse, and Robbie, and Claiborne Farm, and Niall Brennan, and everybody else behind this. It's a wonderful team, and we thank them all.
Congratulations to you both. Standing by now with trainer and jockey, here's Lafitte.
All right, Bob, here with Joel Rosario. Joel, you opted not to ride Orb in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. That could have been disastrous. It's your first time you've ridden him since. How much has he improved?
Well, he's, he showed today he's the man, and he really, every race he run, he be, after he broke the maiden, he looked like he's, more professional. He getting better and better and better, and he showed it today. He was getting much better and better. I was, early in the race,